Mic check 1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's stream. I guess you turn this on. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's stream. We've got a great show lined up. Thank you everyone who joined yesterday and participated. It was awesome. YouTube chat, what's up? Yeah, Tony Z, as far as I know, is still there. Stacker God asking, I don't believe he's left CIG. I mean, just because we didn't see him doesn't mean he's not there. But if he did leave, I'm sure we would have seen something about it. So I'm assuming he's there. But we do have a lot of questions. People asking, hey, why didn't we see anything about the economy at CitizenCon, right? So I thought what we'll do today is we'll refresh our memories with what the whole Quanta thing was. And I also found a recent post on Spectrum by Bolt CIG explaining why they didn't have the anything about the economy at this year's event. So we'll dive into that. Varen, what's up? Ads. Varen, I think if you subscribe with $5, you don't get ads. Unique, what's up? Good morning. Unique saying, Tony Z said, I will say something when I have something to say. Well, it's true. Well, that's exactly what the post from Spectrum basically was. There's nothing new to say about it. And so when there will be, they'll say it. But until such time. Gamers Cafe, good morning. Reload, good morning. 07 to you, sir. New Soul Sounds, good morning. Hello. Stratos, how are you? 07. 07's in chat, everyone. My Bezos bucks will be available November 6th. I look forward to getting the 250 from you. What is the... When, I guess, the split with Twitch is 50-50, right? So if you give $5, Twitch gets 250 of that, if I'm correct. Greg Young, good morning. Hello. I think it's because Quanta is done and ready to be fully installed, but needs a lot more work for going completely. Yeah, Lunchbox, that kind of jives with what CIG posted. We'll get there in a sec. Yeah. Morning, everyone. Thanks for popping in. Gee, thanks. Isn't it 70-30? Gee, thanks. I think the bigger streamers get to renegotiate their contracts. Like, I'm trying to think of a big streamer. I was going to say Doc Disrespect, but not Doc. What's his face? Amaranth? Amaranth is not getting 50-50. Amaranth negotiates with Twitch, and they'll say, we'll give you 70-30. And she goes, no, I want 80-20 to me. And they then go, well, probably. Asmund also, yeah. So the big streamers most likely renegotiate. I don't know what rate they get. It's a secret. They don't tell you. But yeah, it's not 50-50 for the big stream, which should be the opposite, right? I think the small streamers who are just kicking off should be getting a 90-10. And then as you make, if you succeed and you become this massive streamer making $100,000 a month, then negotiate it from there, as opposed to squeezing the small streamers. Oh, the opposite. Someone is at my back door. Really? One sec, guys. You coming in? Oh, thank you very much. It's your dad, he bought soup. Yeah, wintertime, coming cold.
Má gửi canh chua với lại súp với lại bánh gì đó.
Thank you. All right. Woo! It was no, my wife's dad. He brought Vietnamese soup. Good traditional homemade Vietnamese food. I love deliveries. Pho? No, I don't think it was pho. What kind of soup is it? It's frozen. Possible, unique. It could be. I hope it is. Like her mom makes the proper pho. With you take the ribs and you boil them in the water, right? And you make the broth from scratch. That stuff is good. It's so good. Sky, good morning. Someone double check that we aren't. No, the casting couch isn't here. Do we think Theaters of War will have ranked? They'll bring the boys to the yard. Yeah, look, the CIG is catering hard to the PvP crowd right now because there isn't much. We'll start with this. There isn't much of a game. I mean, there are a fair amount of game loops, but I mean, look at the attention that Atmo Esports got at the event because they're showing people play. There's engagement, there's shooting, there's firing. Everyone likes that. So they definitely are catering and will be catering hard to the PvP crowd to attract a lot of players from the more shootery type games. It's a tough balance they have because they're going to cater to the hardcore PvP crowd and the MMO crowd at the same time. But look, that's the beautiful thing about Star Citizen, right? It's morning Slicer, how you doing? Star Citizen is this. I call it the forever game. It's a game that has a bit of everything for everyone. And I was just going through my drawers and stuff and check what I found. I don't know if Seth is watching. Look at that. My old tags. I was wearing these at CitizenCon, the last one. And I was going through the airport, and I'm walking through the metal detector, and the guy's going, "Do you have any metal on you?" And I went like this. I go, "Yeah," and he goes, "Thank you for your service." I'm like, "You're welcome." I was like, I guess. I mean, if you play Star Citizen. Anyway. Kind of concerning about Quanta Slicer. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that now, but this is going to put the rest of it to rest. Stolen Valor. I mean, I didn't go so, no, you see, it's a video game. You know, I'm walking through the metal detector, and as I'm walking through, he goes, "Thank you for your service." I'm like, I guess. I mean, are you a backup Star Citizen? Is that why you're thanking me? Yeah. So, to kick off, all right, guys, we are going to look at this video. This was put out in, oh my God, 2 years ago. What year is it? I swear to God, I thought this was last year. How's it been 2 years at this point? God damn, time is flying. May 24th, 2021. 2021 was 2 years ago? What the shit? Athy, what's up? Hello. Fig Newton, hello. Watchmaker, thanks for the follow. I seriously hope we get co-op servers even characters are locked. Yeah, look, CIG is going out of the way to cater to the PvP crowd. It'll come. It'll come. So for those of you that are new and have not senior citizens, yeah. Actually, Slicer, we were just talking about that before I popped in. We were just commenting on the fact that a lot of the backers here for Star Citizen are aging, and we do need to cater to this aging demographic, like large text. And maybe at the next CitizenCon, we should have walkers and more places to sit and wheelchair access. And that could sound stupid, but just watch, man. The next 10 years, they need wheelchairs and shit at the next CitizenCon. It's coming. Tony Z was an RNG god before he became a virtual god, yeah. Meerkat bids me goodwill and vigorous hair growth. I don't know what I've done to deserve his sarcasm, Alex. I don't appreciate it. Not at all. Down the rest, how you doing? All right, so questions from yesterday were, what happened to the economy? They didn't show anything about the economy. I mean, we saw awesome stuff. The maps, the scopes, right? Destructible environments, water physics. We saw space cow teats. Important things. Here we go with Phil. I was a kid in my 20s when I backed this game. I love those. There's is Velvet in chat right now in Discord? I can't see it. So this guy Velvet was like all of 15 when he joined the first time. And now he's not. Yeah, Slicer, I was in my late 30s when this started. And here we are. Kung Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a local celebrity with us. One of the more talented and highly ignored content creators in all of Star Citizen, Kung Lee, who makes amazing showcases of armor sets, ships, and everything else in the game. Kung Lee, welcome. Great to have you join us. I love your stuff. I think you're doing a great job on Twitch, by the way. I see your stuff getting lots of traction. Good to see that too. Yeah. Switch to metric. I have no idea how long it is. So let's start this off. A lot of people asking, hey, why wasn't Tony Z? If you don't know who Tony Z was, he's the wizard behind what's going to be running the economy in Star Citizen. So this was not mentioned at all during CitizenCon. The reason being is this. And Bolt CIG saying, to the question, why didn't I see anything? The quantum simulation is in a good place at the moment, but lives in a closed system, the Matrix. We want the sim to make a difference to your play experience, and so for the moment, we've paused its development in favor of developing the gameplay systems the game needs for the sim to hook onto, economy and otherwise. The server meshing work also has a very large impact on how the sim communicates with the game state, and so have thus prioritized other work in the short term until we can come around to make the simulation affect live gameplay. It's a long sentence with no abbreviated commas and pauses, and make a difference like we intended since the beginning. We will post more when we have more concrete information going. So basically they're saying what he made works. It works in their closed system. Their closed system is basically able to simulate what needs to be done, right? But it's not being released because server meshing, everything's waiting on server meshing. It affects how it communicates, and live gameplay, yada yada. All right, so you might be asking, well, what does this mean? Well, here we go. So this was highly technical, but very, very important to how the game actually is going to work. So if you've never watched this before and you don't know who Tony Z was, he is the mastermind behind everything that's going to happen, which runs the economy in this game. And the economy is what's going to make this game. Dr. Disrespect reacted to Squadron 42. Yeah, Araxa, we watched that yesterday. I don't know if it's much of a reaction rather than cool. Dr. Disrespect, and I said this yesterday, is a big fan of the project. Him being a game dev himself, understands, right? He knows exactly what's up. And I was mentioning how between Asmon and the Doc alone, that's a 250,000 new players coming to the game right away, just between those two guys. Yeah. So without further ado, let's kick this off. Feel free to ask questions along the way. Let me know if the volume's good.
Hi, I'm Tony Zervik, and I'm the Director of Persistent Universe for Star Citizen. Today I'm going to give you an update on how some of the back-end architecture and systemic functionality is coming along, what sort of progress we've made over the past year, what's on the horizon, and how all of this is going to impact your gameplay experience.
How's the volume? Are we good? When possible, they should use the new jump point stations as a storefront to their economies. There's tons of ideas. I think after watching this, everyone should be 10 times more excited than before. The everything you want from the economy is in here, right? And player-based functions, player-created economies. What's a question? We know there's going to be more NPCs than players, but we have yet to see how it pans out exactly. Is Tony Z present? Yes, I'm talking to him right now. No, this is not new. This is from 2 years ago. There was nothing about Quanta in this Lost Citizen Con, which is why we're covering it, because this is what's going to make the backend run. Should I mention that this is from 2 years ago? Do I have to write that somewhere?
In order to give you a more comprehensive understanding of the long-term direction and what all of this will ultimately mean, I'm going to cover areas that are in various stages of development and will sometimes resort to illustrative examples so that the underlying concept can be made more clear. First, a quick review. Quantum is a simulation of the game universe, and its purpose is to allow things, the price of goods at a given shop, the amount of piracy near a landing zone, or what missions are being offered, to evolve and change over time in logical and realistic ways. It does this by simulating hundreds of thousands of lightweight NPCs called quanta, whose AI logic is focused on just those aspects needed to produce the required information. Based upon a small list of attributes, each quanta makes its own decisions using the same resources, shops, and jobs as...
All right, he lost me. This is way too in-depth. It gets more in-depth. Much more.
Players. The simulation will need to
Death Factor, please sit the back and don't interrupt the rest of the class.
calculate many millions of decisions per minute, and thus the AI behavior of Quanta is focused on the most economically impactful details,
we're going to break it down.
which lets Quantum focus all of its processing power on just those things that truly matter. Every Quanta possesses its own unique set of attributes that influence how well it performs and how it perceives
Cyberwolf,
opportunities.
please go to the back and sit down.
The initial implementation of attributes will have two main categories, proficiencies and traits.
All right, for everyone who's coming in, this is not from the last season con. This is from the one and only time that Tony Z got up and made this, which is 2 years ago. Can I change a stream title in the middle of a stream? I don't even know. Can I? You know what? Let's just play it. And every time someone asks, I'll explain.
Proficiencies act like a multiplier on how well Quanta perform a given task. Different jobs will require different proficiencies, and higher proficiencies will equate to superior execution. Traits describe what kind of jobs a Quanta prefers to do by modifying their perceived value of the job. Each job will have a specific alignment, and when a Quanta's traits match up with the job's alignment, they will perceive the payout of that job to be higher.
Okay, translation so far. He's saying that when you do a job, you will become better at doing that job. If you are making missiles, and that is all you do, you'll be better at making missiles. Captain Stark, hey, I'm downloading the game. Whoa, new player incoming. Yeah, if you knew Captain Stark, you might need a bit of help. I picked up a month. Picked up a month of what? Of the game? Doesn't come in 1 month segments, does it? Nemesis, sit down.
To illustrate the concept, let's take two jobs on either end of the aggression scale and suppose, for now, that they pay out the same. Now, let's create a Quanta with an average aggression rating. This Quanta is no closer to the aggression alignment of factory worker than they are to security, so it's no surprise that for this Quanta, the payout for both jobs looks the same. However, as we decrease the aggression rating of this Quanta, we can see that the perceived amount of money for both jobs changes. Again, the actual pay hasn't changed at all, only the perceived value from that Quanta's point of view.
All right, so let's stop there for a second because I know Athy's like, well, it's over my head, and I'm going to pretend as if I understood what happened here. So just to clarify, the perceived pay, is there a set pool of what pay is in the universe and the pay slides rather than inflating both of them? It either has to go to one or the other, or you get inflation. Is that what he's saying here? And I'm going back to Economics 101. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because you saw when he put the slider to factory worker, the perceived pay changed. Rather than what? This gets complicated very fast. I get it. Hey, they didn't subscribe because not. Yeah, Captain Stark, if you are new to the game, drop into the our Discord, and there'll be people there willing to help out. I can't guarantee they'll be nice, but they'll be willing to help out. Something about a slide that says reload. Got it. All right.
It's still possible for the Quanta to choose security, but in this case, security would need to pay 4 times as much. If we change this Quanta's aggression trait to be very high, the opposite happens. Now, the aggressive security job looks like it pays much more, and the peaceful factory worker jobs appear to pay much less. Of course, jobs have more than a single trait to distinguish themselves. Suppose we take another aggressive job, pirate. With just one dimension, the pirate job would look just as lucrative to this Quanta as the security job. We can differentiate between these two jobs.
So, all right, when he says Quanta, is he talking about an NPC or a player? What's he doing? Who's he referring to as Quanta? He goes, when the Quanta chooses a security job?
By adding the morality trait and putting both of these aggressive jobs on the proper place on that scale. Now that all jobs have a unique combination of trait alignments, we can watch the perceived payout for all 3 of these jobs change, even though, in this case, all jobs actually pay the exact same amount. We're currently experimenting with 4 different traits, but expect to add at least a few more over time.
Yeah, Athy. So the Quanta are the NPCs, and they said that it'll be 10-1 NPCs to real people in the verse. And so these NPCs are going around and doing things as if they were players. In fact, Chris Roberts had said very early on that he doesn't want you to know the difference between a player and NPC. It's just, it'll be populated. Well, you can tell the difference because the players run around and bunny hop everywhere. But you won't be able to tell a difference when it comes to certain aspects. So this is the economy, the AI economy working in the background.
Help ensure that Quanta do not congregate around the highest paying job at any given moment, and instead, just like a real population of individuals, all perform their own unique mental calculus to determine what looks most appealing to them, and in effect gives us the nice distribution of workers that we want.
So NPCs themselves will have tendencies to go towards certain types of jobs. I guess it's saying if there's NPCs with a certain amount of aggression, they will pursue higher paying security jobs. If NPCs are more about trading, they'll go there. So the NPCs themselves are issued aggression ratings, right?
The quantum simulation that we ran at the last CitizenCon was implemented in TypeScript, a relatively slow language that limited us to less than 10,000 quanta. All of that logic is written in C# and a lot of time and effort invested into optimizing the threading and resource locking, which wound up increasing performance by more than 2 orders of magnitude. Stanton is one of the more complex solar systems and will require about 50 to 100,000 quanta in order to achieve the required fidelity, which means we've got a lot of extra headroom without...
The Stanton system requires 50,000 NPCs. That is a massive amount of activity. And right now they're simulating, right? He's going to explain more. But imagine how awesome that looks when you're flying down to a base or any busy area and all these ships are coming and going and they're all doing things. This is what Cyberpunk promised. You know, one of the criticisms of Cyberpunk was that they said that the NPCs have day-night cycles and they wake up and go to work and they plan it their way, but that didn't happen. And at here, well, we have yet to see it, but this is what Star Citizen will be doing, assuming it works, because we haven't seen it. But basically the NPCs are picking up cargo from ArcCorp, flying it to Microtech. Some other NPCs take it from Microtech and delivering it to Crusader. And there is actual real trade happening in that.
Any additional performance tuning to support upcoming solar systems like Pyro. Much like a real economy, quantum produces a tremendous amount of data.
We don't see quantum, but we see the NPCs acting to it. Yeah.
Finding a combination that produces the desired results is difficult. And in order to solve this problem, we created Odin, a plugin for the Python-based Jupyter Lab environment. Odin is a powerful web-based tool that allows for real-time data interpretation of the game's dynamic and complex economy based on the actions.
This is when people say CIG is taking the money and not making a game but building an engine. Well, yes, they've built the engine so it can do this, so we can have a cool game, right?
Both players in the live game and quanta. Here, I'm using Odin to simultaneously show all of the graphs related to the economy of aluminum. where it's mined, refined, manufactured, and sold around the Stanton system. It's a bit overwhelming, so I'm going to refine the search by adding the word bind
those
to the graph
graphs cost
explorer.
$50 million, all right?
Before seeing the actual graphs, we can preview which ones our search has identified, which is very useful in more complicated search scenarios. In this case, though,
Griff,
we've already whittled
welcome.
things down to a manageable size, so I'm going to jump to the actual graphs. Everything looks pretty healthy. You can see the cyclical nature of
God damn it, you guys coming in late. Supernova, please quietly walk to the back and sit down. Don't interrupt the rest of the class.
commodity prices, a sign that we're on the right track and getting the economic modulation we want. All of these graphs are updated from the simulation in real time, and we can zoom in on particular time periods of interest, which is invaluable when trying to figure out exactly why the availability of a critical resource dried up or the price of something went through the roof. With such a complex system, it's often difficult to predict what sort of information we might want to inspect, and Odin was therefore designed to be extremely flexible and adaptive. One particularly powerful data analysis tool that we developed allows us to view the flow of goods and services from a high-level perspective. We call it the
John Doe saying, I'm beginning to believe the rumors that nobody wants to work with Tony. He sounds like he's a terrible person to work for. Tony looks like a person that'll get pissed off that people don't understand what he's saying, right? Nah, he's definitely both well-spoken and on the ball, right?
graph, and it can dynamically target economic flows and animate transitions so that we can visually see how things change over time. Here I've selected a number of different product nodes, and you can see all of the economic relationships for those items laid out on the graph. The graph allows us to switch between several key flows, like the volume of goods, the flow of UEC, and even the value density of specific routes in the universe.
Thanks to the follow, Captain Stark.
The nodes are ordered by greatest to least economic activity, and changes over time will reorder them. We can thus detect important shifts in the economy simply by observing how the nodes adjust their position. This tool can inspect both real-time and historical data, so we can step back in time and see the progression of factors that caused a problem to develop and what could be done to remedy it.
I'm impressed by fancy charts. Was Tony Z at the event at all? Did anyone see him there? Seth, did you see Tony there this year? I mean, people are asking if he's still at CIG. I'm assuming he is. I did not see any mention that he's not.
When inspecting a segment of time, you can see elements of the economy phasing in and out, depending upon whether or not they were relevant during that period.
He was there?
Often we'll want to dig into a particular material to investigate how that material flows throughout the economy. With the Lazay graph, we can choose a material like aluminum.
No, Cyberwolf. Sorry for pausing again, but let me just, a lot of people just joined. Let me just get you guys up to speed. Cyberwolf saying there must be some major stumbling block because there was zero mention of Tony and Quanta, and I just started off with that. With this, basically, they're waiting on server meshing and they're waiting for gameplay loops. And once that is in, they're going to put it in. But right now, the quant simulation is in a good place, but is in a closed system. So they have not released it in the wild because they're still waiting on the infamous server meshing and other live gameplay loops to come into place.
And all of the items that metal is used to construct, which immediately gives us an intuitive view of the relationships between manufacturing recipes and system-wide logistics from a bird's eye view.
Listen,
Here,
if you're
it looks
late,
like
it's not my
most of the
problem,
raw
right?
aluminum in the economy is being funneled into items that are being sold in shops on Crusader and ArcCorp. After a while, though, the shops at Crusader run short of inventory and stop selling such goods, and all the sales move to Hurston and ArcCorp. As new materials, recipes, and items are added to an increasingly complex universe and player behaviors shift, we'll frequently run into such problems, and analytical tools like the Lazay graph will be invaluable in helping us to quickly identify such issues and determining what needs to be done to restore balance. Player actions are fed back into Quantum so that it can factor that data into the simulation, and Odin can evaluate that information just as easily as it can that derived from Quanta. It's fully linked into the law system, for example, and can thus generate a heat map showing where players are committing specific crimes. If there's too much PvP in an area that's supposed to be secure, we might add more security, place additional turrets, or increase the penalties levied by the law system. To be clear, Odin's analytical and statistical capabilities will be of extensive benefit to the quantum simulation too, as they'll allow it to better understand how to adjust various dials and levers to allow for a dynamic universe where things logically ebb and flow and everything functions as part of a larger, more complex machine. Quanta focused on transporting goods, for example, will demand a price premium based upon how much risk they'll be exposed to on their route, and Odin can sort all of the possible paths they might take by risk, fuel consumption.
Okay, should we pause for a second? Everyone understanding? Cyberwolf, don't do it again, all right? I'm well up to speed. I like his books. That's a fake background. I think the desk is real, but the plant and all that is fake. Or could be real. But that plant looks fake. Right? All right, everyone up to speed so far? Makes sense? Good?
Or whatever other metric they wish to consider so that they can decide whether they're interested in the job, and if so, what sort of payment they would require. Here's a bar graph showing where all of these felons are spending their time, and another one showing how they're spending their money. Odin can identify the most popular mining sites as well as what...
I just want to pause that and look at the chart. So Odin, the software tool, is showing you their felon locations, and Aberdeen has the most felons. And felon spending at Grim Hex? I don't know what that's supposed to mean to us, but okay. But I guess he's just very proud they can visualize everything.
Materials are being extracted from those
Probability
locations.
curves is coming.
It knows what sort of ships players are flying, how many players are on board, and what sort of ships they're...
That looks cool, all right? Yeah, so this is the most likely, obviously the closed system it's in. But can you imagine seeing this kind of traffic in the game? Obviously, it's not sized correctly. I don't know if the scales are, but they're just showing an example, right?
Wearing off against. Odin has complete knowledge of the mission system, which allows it to map player positions against the missions they've accepted. In one shot, then, we can get a sense of which missions players find most interesting, so that we can focus on creating more of that type of content, and where those missions are taking them, so that we can understand sections of the solar system that are underutilized. One of the most interesting graphs we've created is this one that measures mission design quality. Each circle represents a mission, and larger circles indicate that more players have done that particular mission. The x-axis details the percentage of players that successfully completed the mission out of all of the players who completed it. And the y-axis denotes the percentage of players that finished the mission, even if they failed it. This exposes all sorts of interesting insights to us. Low positions on the graph, for example, indicate that most players are getting a result other than success or failure. They're either abandoning the mission or disconnecting, neither of which is good. Positions on the far left mean that most of the players that undertook that mission failed it. The lower left quadrant signifies missions that are abandoned frequently and fail when they aren't, which likely points to a problem. Missions near the lower right have a high success rate, but are frequently abandoned, possibly indicating that they're too easy or boring. The most interesting missions are in the upper middle. They're frequently played through to the end, but aren't always successful. These are the missions that are both engaging and difficult.
So that is interesting to me, because I'd never thought that they monitor the details of those. Like you're doing a box mission, right? And you get bored after the third or fourth box. And I know I did when they start becoming a thing. I'm like, oh, like I have to deliver boxes. So I did 2-3 box missions. And then by the 7th or 8th one, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. It's just too repetitive, too boring. So it's nice to know that they have stats and they can see exactly who's doing what, are they completing it, is this fun to do or not, and it's all there in the bubbles, right? Or they're bugged, right? Most likely death factor, with the NPC being spawned behind some door and you can't get to them, right? Space UPS wouldn't like me, yeah.
The lower left quadrant signifies feedback on what sort of missions players find most appealing and where problems reside. The refining gameplay that was released late last year made use of a couple of new backend services. The job service is more general purpose and will also be a key component in the implementation of a number of other upcoming features, including everything from cargo loading and unloading
Buck spawned
to
under the
repair,
ground,
refuel,
true.
and restocking services. The refining service provides game servers with the ability to retrieve a refiner's available processing capacity and a price quote for a given quantity of material with the specified speed and quality options. These new services exemplify the way that development nowadays often proceeds, which is to ensure that all of the linkage to and from the data source is properly abstracted from the start, such that once Quantum can provide the necessary data, we can flip a switch to activate it. Previously, when Quanta traveled to a planet or a moon to mine a resource, they picked a random location on the surface. This meant that Quantum wasn't yet capable of generating the spatial fidelity we needed so that we could properly determine exactly where NPCs should and shouldn't be found.
Thanks for the follow, Bevu.
The resource service that we completed last year, however, provides Quantum with an API that not only gives it access to this information, but also enables those amounts to be modified so that as players in Quantum mine an area, it will gradually be depleted.
This looks very Starfield-like, right? Scanning.
To demonstrate, I brought up a planet. Now, I'm going to highlight the location of all of the gold ore.
Okay, I'll repeat this in 5 minutes. Bo Smoke, this is not from CitizenCon. This is from 2 years ago, where he talks about the economy and how things work. Oh, it's in your playlist. Never watched it. Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's 40 minutes of technical jargon, but very, very informative on how everything runs in the game.
Players in Quanta, of course, would not have this information, and to represent that fact, I'm going to place a shadow over everything. You can see a single quant exploration ship approaching the planet from the right. As it travels across the surface, it will unveil the quantity and location of that ore, visually represented by removing the shadow, and then broadcast that information to other Quanta within its organization. It has discovered a huge vein of valuable ore, and Quanta miners have now started arriving en masse to extract it. They're focusing predominantly on those areas where the concentration is known to be highest, although they'll also consider things like the amount of risk in a given area, perhaps caused by a player or NPC organization fighting to control that region. I'm running this at an accelerated rate, and you can see that the amount of ore at that first large site is declining.
All right, so we know that resources will spawn in randomly. I mean, once this node gets depleted, it's not going to show up again at the same spot, maybe different spots on this planet. This is where orgs come in, and if there is an important resource on some moon or planet, and you have to fight for that resource, this is where the game comes in. This is where I get excited now, because there's an important resource to make something, and you got to have 50, 60, 100 people with you, some mine it, some protect it, some transporting. Can you imagine how complicated this game is going to get very, very quickly? Never mind logistics, but transportation. And goddamn, like, I don't know if we're going to get any sleep when this comes out. I know I won't.
Rapidly. The explorer has now discovered a second field of gold ore near the equator, and because the original deposit has now been mined so extensively, what remains is more time-consuming and difficult to extract, and is thus relatively less attractive.
Quanta's just their name for it. It's just
the Quanta figured this out, and most of them have started to focus their attention on the newer site. Taken together, these new features allow Quantum to generate a lot more detailed information, which will in turn result in a better and more realistic gameplay experience. Quantum will know where exactly on the surface...
So, look, just that alone, what we just saw, that is a lot of game, all right? People say they want more complicated repairing. Oh, shit, on top, exactly, Fig Newton, on top of everything here, you got to get the miners in there. Now, you got to get people to protect the miners, and you got to get ships to haul out the material. And there's things catching fire and things burning down, and you have to repair them. I'm concerned there's too much realism in this game. This is complicated. This game is going to be very complicated.
Of a planet NPCs might be found and what they should be doing. It will understand the value of knowledge and factor its acquisition, sharing, and sale into its calculations, including what any information you eventually attempt to sell would be worth. Quantum has now been pretty thoroughly integrated into our backend architecture, and the service will be built and shipped with all future releases of the game, which took a considerable amount of time and effort given how different some of its tools and technologies were versus what we had already set up and configured. There is still a tremendous amount of work to do on the simulation side, but we are getting close to the point at which portions of its simulated data will be an improvement over the algorithmic logic embedded into various services. We're going to do a bit more testing before we enable it to start injecting that data into the live game, though, and even then we're going to start very small and limit the focus to a few select areas so that we can work out any problems. The first couple of commodities for which Quantum will gain the ability to dictate the price will be fuel and repair materials. We're also going to allow it to control the amount of piracy and possibly transport freighters and security in a few test locations, but keep in mind that until more of the data behind the curtains is exposed, the modulation may at times seem a bit arbitrary. We're going to be more aggressive with service beacons, and we'll soon move most of that responsibility, the type of beacon being offered, the location, the reward, and the difficulty, to Quantum. Our primary focus right now is less on getting a lot of data moving back and forth, and more on getting all of the technological plumbing working properly. In order to properly calculate fuel prices, for example, Quantum needs to have a concept of fuel, what type of ships Quanta are using, and fuel efficiency, none of which it previously had. In order to gauge the demand for repair services, ships in the simulation need a concept of damage, which didn't previously exist. There's often a lot of service work involved in allowing new types of data to flow between Quantum and the game. With iCache now largely complete, we've been able to shift some resources around, and within the last month have now doubled the number of engineers working on the systemic functionality. As a result, we're now in the early stages of a number of critical new services, including everything from the air traffic control service that's required for server meshing, to the NPC scheduler that will enable dynamic populations, to the...
Goddamn, he's talking about server meshing from 2 years ago already. Eric, this is a video from 2 years ago. He's talking about the in-game economy, how things are going to run. This was not brought up in the recent Star Citizen CitizenCon event because it is currently operational in a closed environment and has not been released into the wild yet.
The virtual AI service that is necessary for the next major feature I'm going to discuss.
Virtual AI. Here we go.
Star Citizen's AI architecture is broken up into 3 distinct levels. The high-fidelity characters that you see in the game execute subsumption logic on a server.
So, just to preempt what he's going to say here, when we were backing the game early on and they were selling game packages, they told us that if you have more than one game package, you can probably get an AI NPC instead of having like 3 or 4 game packages on your one account. That game package might be an AI NPC. Is that... Did I remember that correctly? Was that a thing? Because it has not been mentioned since. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to just get tossed out anyway. It was a thing? Yeah, Seth, right. And so if those new to Star Citizen wondering what the hell, why is that important? It's because we have ships and there's things to do in the ships and you need a co-pilot or maybe you want someone to fly a ship and give you protection. There was a demo at one point of ships flying in formation. And they're saying, well, you see, this is the NPC ships flying in security for you. I'm not going to hold my breath for that. I think they were showcasing what they can do. But at bare minimum, what I'm thinking is an NPC on your ship will be you are assigning this guy to be an engineer. And that NPC will get up and put out fires or repair something, hopefully, automatically. I'm hoping that's what it's going to be. Am I right on that still? Madman, thanks for the follow. The event never ends. Captain Stark, it was Saturday, Sunday, it's over. But it lives forever in our hearts. So that's still the plan, right? So if you can have 2 or 3 AI NPCs as your crew, based upon what he said in the beginning over there, the more that they do a certain job, the better they get at it. So if you have an engineer, AI, and he does that job for a long time, he becomes more efficient at that job. I can only imagine the pain that when you might lose them. I hope they can respawn.
This is far and away the most computationally expensive of the 3 types of AI. It's got a similar sense-think act cycle as the other AI, but because you can see the NPCs as they execute their tasks, there's often little to no potential for cheating or simplification. Something as simple as sitting in a chair requires a lot of item searching, animation, raycasting, collision detection,
Bezos Bucks, Madman, much appreciated.
This is a problem because in Star Citizen we're trying to simulate entire solar systems and we can't afford to execute this kind of expensive logic for tens of thousands of characters that players can't even see. So we do what many games do and temporarily suspend any AI that's not in proximity to a player. This creates another roadblock though, because you can't effectively simulate an economy when portions of it are constantly being shut down and restarted, and it's the fundamental reason why Quantum exists. Merging these 2 AI extremes, subsumption and quantum, solves our basic problem. NPCs look and act exactly as you'd expect when you can see them, and the universe's economic wheels always remain in motion. There's one major flaw, however, with this solution. The heavyweight subsumption NPCs that you can see and interact with don't execute any AI logic when you're not around, and thus they're severely limited in what they can do and when they can do it. Solving this issue is the responsibility of a middle tier of systemic logic that I call virtual AI. Virtual AI allows virtual NPCs, VNPCs for...
I feel that the release of ChatGPT thrilled Tony Z to an extent we don't know about, because I don't know what they've done with the AI in this game or how it reacts or what, but have you seen the demo of Skyrim with ChatGPT? God damn, we're going to pull this up. Let's pause that for a sec because I got to get this out because I was blown away by this, by what NPCs can become in the very near future. Yeah.
This is Herika.
All right. Let's just do this very quickly, guys, because I don't know how closely this is related to what he's talking about here. But on the topic of AI, and we're just talking about you can have an AI NPC in your ship to do tasks for you. I wouldn't put it past CIG to have not seen this and go, God damn, maybe we should do something about this, because this is the future of gaming right here in Skyrim. Ironic, the irony, yeah, from a 13-year-old game at this point. The future of gaming is you interacting with a game character and them interacting as human as possible to you. So thanks to ChatGPT, who can say, hey, pretend you're a human or NPC in this game. Look at this. Okay, this now, just to preempt in case you haven't seen this before, this is a very, very early mod into what can be done. There's a big delay in the time where he talks to the NPC and the time he gets to response. He's going to edit that out the video because it's not instant. But there will come a time where it does become instant. So can you imagine a time where we are in our ship and you can voice chat to your co-pilot who's an NPC and go, hey, can you jump out and go fly that ship for me? Or can you cover my six? Or can you go to a turret? It sounds crazy, but there will come a time, and it's not very far in the future, where you can turn to the NPC co-pilot and go, get out there and jump into the snub fighter and cover me. And they will get out and jump into a snub fighter and cover you, right? So let's just do this very quickly.
First AI voice companion in the world you can actually talk to using your voice. Herika, can you carry my burdens better than Lydia?
Oh, you poor thing. Are you still traumatized from the last time Lydia dropped all your pots and pans? Don't worry, moist boy, I've got your back and your burdens. Plus.
And you can even customize her voice, personality, and turn her into your ultimate Skyrim waifu. But you're probably wondering to yourself, how well does this Skyrim mod work, and is it going to be worth the money and time to set up? First, meet Moist Boy, a very damp level 1 Argonian who's about to set out on his own adventure with Herika to see the impact of Skyrim.
So there's more than just lines, okay? When he's talking to Herika, it isn't there's a set amount, there's 50,000 codes of line or 50,000 voice lines and she's just talking. It generates conversation on the fly.
Skyrim AI followers on gameplay. And if you ask me, this really adds a whole new level of gameplay onto what already exists in Skyrim. And we're going to need a small hoard of gold to fund this video before we go off and start fighting dragons. So first, of the war. Using...
Yeah.
Okay, so she should be somewhere here in the city.
All right, so keep in mind, the AI here is not responding to a set amount of responses that's written in somewhere. It's generating the conversation, responding to what he's saying on the fly. Like if you go to ChatGPT and you talk to it and say, respond to me as a human, it will respond to you. It's basically doing text-to-speech. This is technology here today in Skyrim.
Here she is. Here she is. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today, Herika? Are you well?
Oh, moist boy, you never fail to make me laugh with your creative mispronunciations. But it's Herika, not Erica.
Oh,
and I'm doing just fine, thank you.
This is mind-blowing. So I should call you Erica? Is that pronunciation correct?
Immersion
Erica?
breaking?
Oh, moist boy, you really know how to push my buttons. No, you shouldn't call me Erica. It's Herika with an H. But hey.
Okay, so let me get this right.
I think this is the opposite of immersion breaking. What is the one thing that people always want from these Bethesda games? They want replayability. They want a continuing gameplay. But once you've heard all the lines and there's nothing new, it gets stale. But this is ongoing, never-ending conversation you can have about the weather. And not only that, but the AI is also going to respond to things like his armor and things he's wearing. Like, hey, I noticed you have that sword. Do you remember when we got that sword? And the AI will say, yeah, I remember that mission.
It's Rika.
It's Herika, just Herika.
Okay then, just Harika. So we've now got Herika as a follower, and we're about to begin our adventure
breaking the fourth
into
wall.
the open world of Skyrim.
Oh, you're saying because the AI knew he was a streamer? Okay. God damn, no, that is impressive. You're right.
I've taken you here.
But those are parameters you can change. Like pretend that you're an NPC in this game.
Where you'd like to go first?
Oh, Moist Boy, the possibilities are endless. But if you're looking for an adventure, we could head to the throat of the world and pay a visit to the Greybeards.
You see, Herika, I used to be an adventurer like you, but then I took an arrow to the knee.
Oh, so I guess you'll be hobbling around Whiterun, regaling everyone with tales of your past glory? How exciting.
Herika, I'm not a Whiterun guard.
Oh, really? I couldn't tell from that impressive arrow wound in your knee. My mistake.
And it goes on and on like that. But also they go into fighting some bad guys here, and he says to her, shoot that guy with an arrow, and she pulls out a bow and arrow and shoots the guy with a bow and arrow. And this is technology that is here right now.
Flex. There's some wolves just here. Hey, Erica, we're near the wolves. Go ahead and kill them. They're right in front of us. Attack, Erica, attack!
All right. No need to shout. I'm on it, Moist Boy.
So, I mean, a game mechanic of telling an NPC to attack somewhere is not new. But using a voice command to do it is existing technology, and I think very realistic, right? So you get the idea. I mean, this has nothing to do with what he's talking about here, but I do think that CIG is well aware of this. And I cannot rule out that maybe at some point in the future, we have this kind of interaction in Star Citizen. Can you imagine? That'll be awesome. Impressive and scary, yeah.
Let's show those wolves what we're made of.
Yeah. Look out, Erica. I'm being attacked. Oh, a nice shot.
Well, that was easy enough. These wolves really need to up their game if they want to challenge us. Maybe they should consider taking archery lessons or something. Oh, thank you, Moist Boy. Guess they couldn't resist the charm of Moist Boy and Harika. I suppose.
Look, it's dialogue on the fly. Anyway, awesome. Let's continue with Tony Z. I just wanted to toss that in there because I'm pretty sure CIG is aware of all that. And that is recent. This is all new, like this past year, right?
Short. To seamlessly transition back and forth between the fully realized and physical world of subsumption and a far more efficient intangible backend.
Right. Chris Roberts saw that and he goes, all right, guys, game's delayed 5 more years.
Ether, where they retain the ability to interface with elements of the systemic architecture just like a player. This technology is going to unleash a lot of new and exciting gameplay, but it's going to take more than a few sentences to properly explain what I'm talking about, so let's walk through it all in more detail. This is the Stanton solar system. You can see the 4 planets, ArcCorp, Hurston, Microtech, and Crusader. I'm going to zoom into the Crusader planetary area, and you can see it's 3 minutes.
No, Captain Stock, I'm being sarcastic. Well, will the game be delayed 5 years? No, the joke is, Captain Stock, that Chris Roberts is a bit of a perfectionist, and if he decides, you know what, instead of flying from space to the surface and flying on rails, we should have procedural planet tech to make seamless, and they did. And that's why the game took more than 2 years to make. Daredevil, what's up? Ladies and gents, our favorite Greek baker. Best bakery in all of Athens. Daredevil is in chat. So yeah, Captain Stark, the joke is, as soon as Chris Roberts might see some technology, he goes, damn, we need this in our game. There's no one that says no to him, and it'll happen. And so the game is delayed 10, 12 years, right? From when they launched it, from when it was first announced. But we just saw CitizenCon, how amazing that actually looks. So him delaying and adding all this amazing shit in the game is creating the game of the decade, but at the cost of us all getting old. Well, not Daredevil, he's Greek, he'll never age. But the rest of us are getting old.
Yela, Daymar, and Selen, and the space station Port Olisar. You can imagine looking at that station
Every time Chris Roberts is like, hold my beer after he saw this.
of NPCs going about their lives. This is how you think of the universe, always in motion, always changing, always real, regardless of whether you're actually looking at it or not. As I mentioned, though, that's an illusion. We can't afford it. When you're not looking, the server deactivates and unloads a lot of unnecessary baggage, but a wide assortment of backend services retain knowledge of everything that really matters and provide an active interface to those systems. NPCs outside of landing zones are treated differently. Quantum accumulates statistical information for where NPCs should reside and what they should be doing from its quanta, which allows us to determine how often you should see a pirate or what a freighter you run into should have in its cargo hold. These areas are called probability volumes, and the important thing to note is that the NPCs they create are ephemeral. They pop into existence for a brief moment so that the area you're viewing looks like what Quantum says it should, and once they're sufficiently far from any players, are completely and forever destroyed. I'm going to add a player here, which you can see off to the left. As they pass by Daymar, they're in range of a probability volume that eventually decides they should encounter a pirate. So a pirate is created and engages the player, and after a bit the player decides that they're outmatched and decides to run. Once they're sufficiently far from that NPC, it's destroyed. It doesn't persist in any fashion and you'll never see them again. The player continues traveling to Port Olisar, and the translucent green wireframe indicates that the area isn't loaded on the server, and thus the subsumption AI isn't active. I'm going to add a VNPC in a moment, but first let's quickly recap what makes them so different. VNPCs always execute some form of AI logic, regardless of whether or not they are in proximity to a player. Virtual AI is extremely lightweight and computationally efficient, stripping out all of the expense related to visuals and unnecessary details, yet retains the full ability to interact with the game in the ways that truly matter.
Raven, you're interrupting the class. Please be quiet.
Virtual
Move to
AI
the back.
executes within a backend service and can thus easily be scaled and doesn't put any load on the servers. VNPCs can seamlessly transition back and forth from lightweight, back-end-driven AI entities to full-blown, subsumption-driven NPCs, and are thus indistinguishable from an NPC that really did execute expensive subsumption logic all the time.
Okay, we're going to have to pause there and just give Athy a second. He's using a lot of words. Athy, can you repeat what he told us in simple words? There will be a quiz at the end. So, virtual AI, which he's dubbed VNPCs, are computationally efficient, and they are cloud-based, and they are seamlessly transition between virtual and subsumption AI. And I used to know what subsumption AI was, and now I've kind of forgotten about that.
Lastly, VNPCs gradually build up their own unique histories as they live out their lives. They evolve. Okay, so back to the example. Once the player gets close enough to Port Olisar, that area is streamed into existence, loaded onto a server, and the NPC is initialized to resume whatever they should be doing at that time of day. Now I'm going to introduce a VNPC pirate near the player, and they're going to immediately attack. After a few moments, the VNPC comes out ahead in this battle, and the player is killed. Because their crime was committed in range of an active comrade, it's recorded in their character history, along with the time and location of the felony. An upcoming tracking app will allow you to access information like this if you've registered with the local authorities, so that the digital footprints players and VNPCs leave behind can be tracked.
What he's saying here, in simple terms, Athy, is that, let's take, for example, the bounty hunter loop. Now, we just saw restraints being showed in Lost Season Con. An NPC comes along and attacks a player. The NPC kills the player. The NPC, because he was within a high-sec area, is now getting a bounty, and this bounty will now be a mission that is issued out to you. You go, hey, can you apprehend this guy? Now, I don't know if you have to kill them or if you could just apprehend them and deliver them warm or cold, but this is basically the game loop, right?
This VNPC's name is Dragon, and since they're now wanted in this jurisdiction, the comrade has affixed a real-time marker to his position. With the only player in this area dead, the server now streams Port Olisar and the comrade out, but as I previously noted, VNPCs aren't destroyed like a regular NPC created from a probability volume, and their logic isn't suspended like an NPC at a landing zone.
So just to summarize what he showed you, you come into a system, a ship comes and tries to attack you, but if you fly past and ignore it, nothing happened, it gets streamed out, gets removed. But an NPC approaches you, kills you, that NPC now is getting a bounty on them. Right? Yeah. That's right, Reload. Port Olisar's gone. Fake news. Yeah, they have to update this.
Instead, VNPCs simply transition from their physicalized state, where authority over their actions is controlled by subsumption logic executing on a server, to their native ethereal state, where their virtual AI executes on the back end. Dragon now begins to exit the area, and the comrade continues to track his position until he passes out of range, at which point the real-time information converts to a last known position report.
Jack Raven, thanks for the
He's
community
decided
sub.
that he needs money and he's a bit risk
got
averse,
it?
so he elects to head all the way out
CM
to Yell,
Karlov.
where there are quite a few transport freighters
Thanks for
carrying
subscribe.
valuable ore and little in the way of security.
Oh, that was Jack Raven. Thank you.
Okay, Dragon has arrived at Yell's asteroid field and has now crossed back into range of another active comm array, so his real-time position is now once again being reported as indicated by both the character history and the tracking marker. There aren't
We
any
know it's one
players in
community
this
sub,
area,
thank
and
you,
thus
sir.
none of this is streamed onto a server. Everything you're
Lucky
seeing is the result of
recipient
a variety
is
of different
KD3D.
services communicating with one another. VNPCs trigger probability volumes just like players, and Yellow shows that there's quite a bit of freighter traffic in this
Subathon.
area. So Dragon won't have to wait very long before he generates an encounter. There's one. Dragon just caused the creation of a freighter, which itself becomes a VNPC so that it can react to what's happening via its own virtual AI. Dragon now engages the freighter. He starts firing on it. He's still within range of an active comm array, and thus this latest crime is added to his character history. He's now wanted for both murder and piracy, and the bounty on him just jumped from 6 to 10,000 UEC.
I wonder
Increasing the size of the
I wonder if they'll make kind of infamous NPCs, because they can make an NPC as powerful as they want, right? They can choose like how efficient is this NPC in combat, and just basically make like a really tough NPC that no one can actually kill because they're that good, and you have to get a whole team of people together to kill him. That'll be cool, like an infamous NPC living some corner of some system, who, you know, if you go into that star system, they'll wreck you right away, right? That's awesome.
their rap sheet, and the price in their head is one of the simplest forms of VNPC evolution, and over time we'll look to add additional ways for VNPC.
There's no boss battles in this game. There isn't like if you go down a cave, you'll fight some little minions, and eventually there's a big boss. There's no such thing in this game. But you can have, like he's showing here, an NPC, and they can set that, oh, this NPC, like the slider, is this guy is pixel perfect with aim and destroys everything very easily. Yeah, so no boss battles, but definitely some very good NPCs they can stick in and make it very challenging.
To grow and increase their influence. From recruiting followers in an attempt to become a shipping magnate or a crime boss to offering
Elevators are
their
the
own
boss
missions.
battles.
The captain of that freighter isn't going
funny
to
'cause
surrender
it's
so
true.
easily. He's broadcast a combat assist service beacon that players can choose to accept, and he's offered a 3,000 UEC reward for his protection. Unfortunately for him, he's pretty heavily outmatched, and he's
Right, like
quickly
Red Baron,
destroyed,
right.
causing the service beacon to expire before anyone can come to his aid. Bits of information like this are fed back to Quantum, and in sufficient quantity will cause all sorts of things to change. How much security patrol missions in that area pay, what transports that have to travel through that area will demand as a risk premium, and how much a ship in distress will offer for someone to come to their
Exactly
aid.
right, James. It's
The
easy to
freighter's
make them
destruction
perfectly
has left some
efficient.
debris and possibly a few items of value, so if a player had already been en route, they might arrive to find the aftermath. Another murder has now been attributed to Dragon, and the bounty on him just once again jumped, this time from 10 to 14,000 UEC. He took a bit of damage from that encounter and is eventually going to need some repairs. A harder working pirate might look to plunder a few more freighters before heading back, but Dragon's personality attributes indicate that once he's got enough cash to cover the basics, he's more interested in drinking and gambling than piracy.
That is so crazy that it comes down to the personality trait of the NPC. His ship's taken damage. Do you go and keep on fighting? Do you see the levels of complexity that he's gone here? I mean, he's really dumbing. You can see Tony Z saying, I'm going to dumb this down so people watching Montori's stream can understand it. He's dumbing it down to the point, he goes, the personality traits of this guy, of the NPC, are that if his ship takes damage, he's actually going to go and repair his ship, as opposed to keep on fighting, because that's the decision they make. That's awesome.
So he leaves the area, and once again the real-time location tracking ceases once he's out of range of the comm array. He's heading back to Port Olisar, which is the closest location that has everything he wants. A fence to sell his stolen goods, shops to repair and restock his ship, and a bar where he can spend the remainder of his cash. The comm array near Port Olisar has been disabled, which means that Dragon's position isn't updated upon approach. The area remains devoid of any players, and thus it's still not streamed into memory. Dragon can therefore remain in his ethereal state and avoid a lot of computational expense related to maneuvering his ship, but he still needs to interface with the air traffic control service to request a landing pad and transition from his ship to the station. Services like this are always fully operational and accessible to VNPCs. That landing request is logged to his history though, so while the disabled comm array would make it a bit harder for a bounty hunter to track him, there are lots of other ways by which locational information on a character can be obtained. Dragon needed to refuel and repair his ship, and you can see those actions reflected in his history as he interfaces with the shop service that controls those operations. When a VNPC transitions to a landing zone that's streamed in, the virtual AI service that drives their logic temporarily cedes control of the character to the NPC scheduler that specifies who resides at what location. This is the same foundation upon which the dynamic populations feature will be built, except that it will be quantum instead of the virtual AI service dictating the changes in the population. The end result is that if a VNPC is assigned to a landing zone and you're at that location, you can run into them like any other NPC. Dragon is now hanging out in the local bar, which was added to Port Olisar for the purposes of this demo. If you were to walk into the bar at this moment, he'd be physicalized with the rest of the environment and you'd actually see him there. Dragon eventually gets his fill of entertainment, or maybe he just runs out of money. Either way, it's back to work, and he'll be jetting back to Yellow to try and prey on more unprotected cargo ships. So he contacts air traffic control to get clearance to leave the area and departs. The same player that Dragon first encountered and killed is looking to exact some revenge, though, and claim the big bounty on Dragon's head. They've surmised that there might be a pattern to Dragon's movement and think that he might head back out to Yellow.
This is so... The guy goes and lands his ship, gets out of his ship, walks to the bar because his personality trait is he likes to drink. The NPC is ordering a drink, will drink his drink with ice cubes in it, with ice cube physics, go back to his ship and take off and continue like a normal person. That's insane. I don't know any game which, well, we have yet to see it, right? But I believe Tony Z here, if he says this is working, then it's working. But again, I have to see it to believe it, right? The same thing with ArcCorp, because we have a whole planet that looks like a city. It sounds nice. I'll believe it when I see it. And then they showed it to us. But yeah, Tony says this is all working in the closed system. And I don't think he's lying. But okay, show it to me and I'll believe you more. Who needs players we can just simulate? You're right, Mastodon. CIG doesn't need us to play the game. All we're going to do is keep on buying ships and then just put NPCs in there that can play with each other. NPCs playing with each other. Reload's thinking of a joke. Stop it.
So, they position themselves between Port Olisar, where they know that Dragon just left, and Yella and activate a quantum interdiction field. Dragon, still in his lightweight ethereal form, initiates a quantum jump from Port Olisar to Yella and, just like a player, routes that movement through the probability volume service that is responsible for interdictions. Once he gets within range of the player's interdiction bubble, his jump is interrupted and he transitions from executing virtual AI on the back end to a full-blown subsumption-driven AI executing logic on a server so that the two of them can battle it out. If the player once again gets the worst of it, they might decide to change up their tactics a bit and wait to see if Dragon soon returns to Port Olisar, where they could try to sneak up on him on foot. The ultimate objective for Star Citizen has always been a dynamic and evolving universe. Historically, however, our mission content has always been static. We've had no ability to modify it after we pushed a version out the door. Missions have also been confined to a single server, each of which was thus its own little island, cut off and oblivious to whatever was happening elsewhere. Environmental data that applies to all of the servers, what items the shop offers for sale, how many freighters or pirates are in a given region of space, or what missions are available at a landing zone, couldn't be altered by the instance mission logic that executes on individual servers since we didn't yet have a means of coordinating those efforts. The end result has been a universe that often feels static and fails to offer sufficient variety. Dynamic events are a special type of mission intended to help remedy this problem. They are modular chunks of configurable content that might involve anything from throwing a simple wrench into the wheels of the systemic economy, to a prison break that stresses the law system, to a full-blown invasion of a solar system. Dynamic events are global in nature. They affect the entire array of servers. They do this via extensions to the mission language that allow them to declare what logic runs in parallel on every server and what executes on the back end, while at the same time gaining the ability to query and...
Basically, he's saying stuff is happening to make stuff happen.
modify a lot of global data. This allows us to keep the critical elements of these scenarios synchronized across all the servers while retaining the flexibility for every server to have its own unique state. Conceptually, the servers control the battle and the backend manages the war. The Xenothreat mission that we released in the first quarter was a dynamic event. It was triggered manually, although Quantum will eventually gain the ability to automatically activate these scenarios when conditions warrant. If, for example, the amount of piracy in an area gets out of control, Quantum might search through the mission library to find a dynamic event compatible with an elevated amount of piracy, and then customize and instantiate that scenario so that a lot of handcrafted content, unique character dialogue, challenges, rewards, can be blended into the universe simulation. We're aiming for the best of both worlds then, a systemic universe that provides a logically consistent background environment with the ability to overlay content and storylines that writers, designers, and many others have spent a lot of time creating. This is Quazar, a new tool that lets us manage dynamic events in the live game. It's linked to the same star map as Quantum and has access to much of the same information. I'm looking through the library of available events.
Right, so missions aren't baked but dynamic. Some missions will be created based upon some event, like the bounty on the NPC we just saw, right? And others are baked in, like when they choose Jump Town to turn on. But yeah, it gets complicated. Yeah, it's I know too much that I now don't know enough, and now I don't know anything at all. That's how I feel sometimes in this game. Dynamic events being worked on and used the quantum simulation. That the development has not stopped. Well, the development in this game will never stop. It's endless.
And as I select each one, you can see the input parameters that can be used to customize that particular scenario. We've got quite a few of these at different stages of development, with Fleet Week, Ninetales, and Infiltrator being the next few in the pipeline. I'm going to walk you through a simple dynamic event called Quazar Demo that will show off a few of the systemic hooks we've linked into the mission system, but first I need to specify the inputs. The first thing that it requires is a location, and I'm going to select Port Olisar by simply clicking on the star map. The next couple of variables require a ship type. I'm going to specify Idris for the Defender input and Cutlass Black for attackers. If Quantum were to programmatically trigger an event like this, it'd fill in variables like these with something that made contextual sense. So, for example, it'd be looking at what sort of ships were in the area where the event would be activated to determine what it could consider. The next variable relates to difficulty, which in this particular case has simply been configured to dictate the speed at which enemies will appear. The last input, enemies remaining, indicates how many enemies must be destroyed in aggregate across all of the servers in order for the war phase to be completed and the victory phase to be activated. I'm going to set this to 10. With everything configured, I can now activate the event. Quazar communicates this request to the dynamic mission service, which then initializes the backend logic, allocates the global variables, sets up the phase conditionals, informs all of the servers to start.
Oh, it sets up the phased conditionals. I love how it just flows, right? And like, phased conditionals. I don't know what that means, but it sounds damn. Rams Larry, welcome. Phobos, welcome, first time chatter. The whole NPCs have a character idea. Yeah, so the fact that NPCs have personalities and they will act based upon the in-baked personality, right? It sounds like Star Trek technobabble. It does. But what a gem this guy is. Holy crap. Like, this is the guy that you want doing this stuff. That's why he's like this hero. When he stepped up and did this, everyone would just standing ovation. Engage the inverse tachyon pulse. I mean, if he said that, I'm like, okay, I mean, he said that. It must mean something.
Any instance logic the event might contain, and quite a bit more. I'm now going to flip over to Quazar's Active tab so that we can check the event's real-time data. You can see that there's currently just a single event active, but we can just as easily activate multiple and give each of them a different set of inputs. Dynamic events organize changes to backend data in coordinated chunks of logic called phases, and the phases that have been created for this event can be seen at the top right. They're all inactive now, hence the red color, and will turn green if their conditional evaluates to true, at which point their embedded logic would execute. The event's global variables are shown below that, and it's in this area that you can see the enemy's remaining variable for which we previously specified an input value of 10. Lower still are the functions for this event that have been marked external and which allow us to manually or programmatically call functions to customize aspects of the event after it's already been launched. The list of items that a shop offers to buy or sell has always been static. Phases, though, can include shop modifiers, which open the door to dynamically changing all sorts of shop-related information. To test this, I'm going to bring up a client window so that we can see what Port Olisar's admin office is currently buying. I've minimized the inventory for this test, so I'm only expecting to see a couple of items. That's the full list right there, just hydrogen and processed food. The modify shop phase has been set up to activate when the backend variable called current phase has a value of 1, so I'm going to set it to that. The phase just turned green, meaning that it's enabled, and any changes to the backend data have now been applied. It applied a shop modifier to crank up the demand for food at Port Olisar, so let's see what's happening to the price. It was stable for a long time with just some minor fluctuations. Now, though, it's gone through the roof.
So,
the direct result...
This I like. One of the factors which encouraged me to start playing EVE was the economy and the stock market. And if you can sit at some place and buy and sell commodities, I thought that's an awesome loop. I mean, that's a game loop which hasn't been discussed in Star Citizen, but here we have, it's going the price of the food economy and the volume of it, and you could sit there in Port Olisar and buy and sell, right?
Of all that increased demand. So players and Quanta would be incentivized by higher prices to help correct this imbalance in the economy.
What is Port Olisar?
This phase
It
also
was
had
the
a shop
space
modifier
station
at a
that we
new
used to have
item
in the
for
old days.
purchase, and you can see that Quantum already knows about it. I'm going to flip back to the client, though, so that we can verify that this really did affect the inventory within the game. Sure enough, the shop is now looking to purchase a new item, medical supplies. Manual control over the economy like this is not intended to be a substitute for Quantum's systemically derived adjustments, but simply gives us the ability to occasionally nudge the system in a particular direction to add some interest or layer a compatible story onto the background environment or an existing trend. Quantum will then take these influences, factor them into the simulation, and output how everything changes in response so that all of the rough edges are smoothed. While we're looking at prices, I want to show off another new feature that will go out the door within the next few months. As designers gain the ability to write mission logic that can properly affect systemic change, temporary price imbalances will become more common, and we wanted to have a way for the system to actively reach out and inform you rather than relying upon you constantly having to check in on an area to discover that there's an opportunity. If we wait just a bit longer, the admin office is going to reach a point where it's so desperate for food that it's going to start reaching out, looking for ways to obtain more supply. It will do this by sending a message that will be recorded in a special area of your journal reserved for price alerts, which is basically a precursor to being able to create and post missions. You can see the message there indicating that the Port Olisar admin office needs food and what they're willing to pay for it. This feature gives designers the ability to dictate at a systemic level how shops will respond to inventory gluts and shortages, and this functionality will soon be extended to things other than commodities. An area suffering from too much piracy, for example, might offer to pay mercenaries to come to their aid. This is fundamentally different than the brute force tactics we currently rely upon to create missions and dictate when they're available, and it's far more flexible and powerful. What you're really seeing here are the first signs of the dynamic mission system starting to flicker to life, and once it hits full stride, it's going to transform the gameplay experience. Next, let's take a look at how dynamic events allow encounter probabilities and interdiction frequencies to be adjusted. This is the probability volume around Port Olisar. You can see that piracy, the red curve, and security, the blue, are inversely related. All things being equal, if you increase the amount of security, you'll get less piracy and vice versa. Security tends to congregate closer to the landing facilities and dissipate as you get farther out, and thus piracy tends to gradually increase with distance. The likelihood of an encounter is represented by the height of the curve at that distance. Notice that the chances of running into a freighter, the green curve, is pretty much constant because once a ship has decided to make the journey to or from Port Olisar, it's committed. They've already decided whether or not the risk is worth the reward of traveling the full route. I'm now going to activate the lockdown phase of this event, which is going to crank up the amount of piracy in the selected area and overwhelm security. The red curve, piracy, now has a much larger average height, equating to an increased encounter probability, and because pirates now greatly outnumber security, the curve pushes in much closer to the landing zone. The criminals are emboldened because there's no longer sufficient security to deter them. The blue curve, security, looks identical, although Quantum will, over time, start adjusting the economic levers to gradually increase the amount of security to combat the threat by offering greater rewards. Increased piracy has had an immediate impact, though, on freighter traffic, which has dropped precipitously.
God, my brain. Changing one tiny aspect of the economy, like more pirates, has a butterfly effect that changes everything that's happening in that system. Can you imagine this across 100 systems? what's going to take to run that and make it all balance? Holy crap. Yeah, it's deep. So making an event take place here means it affects the transportation of a certain item that must go there usually, which means there could be too much of this item somewhere else, which means the price there will drop, which means the price drops, less people will be delivering to that. And if they aren't delivering to that, then it chains. So one small event in one system has a butterfly effect of affecting tons of other systems from that, right?
This means that the local economy will start to seize up. They won't be able to import food, medicine, fuel, or whatever else they need, and they won't be able to export whatever goods and services they produce. All of these knock-on effects are only possible because designers will now be able to nudge the economic gears in proper systemic fashion.
It's coming.
Let's test one of these knock-on effects. Now that we've adjusted the encounter probabilities, let's see what that does to quantum travel in the area. I'm going to once again bring up a game client, this time so that we can watch an Avenger Titan jumping to Port Olisar. This is a short jump, and the chances of interdiction would typically be very slim. Now that we've injected a much larger pirate presence around that location, however, that's no longer the case. We got ejected from our jump as soon as we got within range of those elevated pirate probabilities, which means that getting to Port Olisar just got a lot more difficult and time-consuming, and will remain that way until the threat is addressed. We're now to the point where we can allow programmatic modification of these data structures, and Quantum will soon start adjusting these automatically so that all sorts of things within the universe start to ebb and flow.
Yeah, got to pause more often there. But to answer a question from Phobos Productions, is asking if there's going to be 100 star systems. The team in Montreal are the ones which are in charge of that. So we know that Pyro is done because you guys who attended the event, you got to play in Pyro. But the tools that they've been working on all these years to get that done are now available, I'm assuming, complete. So for them to spit out the next system is not going to take 10 years, right? Spider, Nix, whatever else is coming off of this, Kellogg, I don't know what, is not going to take years. It's essentially, click, here's a planet, here's the sun, this is the weather system, this is the biome, this is a river, and click, 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 and it goes through. It's going to be much faster. The same way that they revealed a lot to us this last Season Con that we were surprised by. I wouldn't be surprised if next Season Con they say, you know how everyone was excited for Pyro? Well, here are the next 10 systems, next 20 systems. Now, there's always a need that they aren't procedurally going to generate everything. Some areas are handcrafted still. But the tools to make everything, I believe, is in place at this point, isn't it? All influences on the economy are local only, but the balance of the economy as a whole, yeah. Well, look, there's in EVE Online, there's an in-house economist who balances everything. And I don't know if this is Tony Z's full job there, but there definitely does need to be someone balancing everything that happens in the economy here in Star Citizen.
What all of this really means is that
100 at launch? I'm not going to hold my breath for 100 systems at launch, but even if they have 10 or 20 systems at launch, that's more content than we can even digest that point, right? I'd rather have 10 systems with a lot to do in them than 100 systems with very little to do in them. So I don't see the point in 100 systems if there isn't much to do. But like we're seeing here, if they can spit out 100 systems and just say, and activate Quanta, and the NPCs go off and stop mining and transport and trade and pirates, and that's essentially 100 systems full of activity already. But I don't know how much of it needs to be handcrafted after that point. Entire team dedicated to this. The launch of Squadron 42. Yeah, I'm talking about an actual PU, more official launch, right? 10:20 at launch, others come online. Yeah. But look, same as Starfield, right? Exactly, Mr. Solari there. Starfield goes, we have 1,000 different locations at launch. Everyone claps. But it doesn't make a difference how many systems you have at launch if it's just repetitive, go here and clear out this base type mission over and over, and it's the same base over and over, just the sky is different color. Doesn't make a difference, right?
Even when you know that you can buy medical supplies dirt cheap at one location and sell them for a hefty profit at another, we can finally start to adjust some of the systemic elements to justify the disparity. In short, if you wanted to take advantage of Port Olisar's elevated prices right now, you'd have to fly the last mile at conventional speeds, and we'll probably see quite a bit of combat. That's going to drive up how long it takes you to make the run. You're probably going to burn quite a bit more ammo and require more repairs than would otherwise be the case, and you might want to think about recruiting some armed escorts to help you through the dangerous areas. Once the risk abates, once players in Quanta have dispatched enough of the pirates so that travel within this area returns to normal, you'll be able to much more easily deliver medical supplies to Port Olisar, but of course that increase in supply will quickly shrink the price differential. Now let's take a look at how each server can host part of a larger event while the things that really matter can remain synchronized. I'm going to enable the war phase by calling the start war function. That's going to create some staged battles involving the ship types we selected earlier around Port Olisar, the area that we previously selected. I brought up a couple of different client windows, each of which represents a different server. As each cutlass is destroyed on either server, the shared variable called enemies remaining is decremented. Once that variable reaches 0, the war phase will automatically terminate and the victory phase will be activated.
What's up, JS? How you doing?
That's it. The counter just hit 0 and you can see the change in the active phases over in Quazar. That last phase, Victory, kicked off some fireworks around Port Olisar, and just like any other phase change, that will automatically be synchronized across all of the servers. Just to make sure that things are back to normal, I'm going to check Port Olisar's admin office and see what's happening with the inventory and prices. They're no longer looking to purchase medical supplies, and with the pirate threat eliminated, players in Quanta can once again quickly and safely reach Port Olisar. As a result, the cost of food has started to fall off a cliff and will soon return to something close to its pre-crisis levels. I've covered a lot of ground today. Quantum has matured considerably since you last saw it. The performance issues have been resolved, it's been made compatible with our backend infrastructure, and it's now communicating with numerous gameplay services. Lots of new analytical tools and functionality have been added, and increased fidelity in areas like Quanta attributes and the spatial positioning of resources have allowed us to improve the accuracy of its output. We're now in early stage testing to allow Quantum to start pushing the first few bits of simulated data out the door and start impacting the game, and we expect to go live with these efforts later this year. The first stones in the Virtual AI Foundation were laid long ago, but it's only been within the past couple of months, as engineering resources rolled off of some other major initiatives, that the implementation effort has really started to take off. This technology will allow VNPCs the freedom to operate and evolve independently of player actions and open up all sorts of new gameplay possibilities. Bounty Hunter v2 will be the first feature to exploit virtual AI, but it's really just the tip of the iceberg insofar as what we eventually plan to do with it.
Bounty Hunter v2? Has there been any talk about that? Do we have that? Was there any mention of that?
Some of the Virtual AI Tech Foundation will beget other important features, like the ability to dynamically adjust the size and composition of the populations at landing zones. Dynamic events are the culmination of several major technological components coming together, from the Dynamic Mission Service to Quazar, and are already a reality. We shipped the first one, Xenothreat, in the first quarter, and have a number of others at various...
Athy, pay attention! We're almost done. Bear with us.
Stages of development for release later this year and next. Many of these initial releases will serve as testing boards for new features, from shop and probability volume modifiers to spawn closets and the dynamic generation of nav meshes. Dynamic events give us the ability to modify the universe in dramatic or subtle fashion whenever we want, and to seamlessly blend those changes into the quantum simulation so that everything looks and feels natural. All of this will ultimately mean a more interesting, realistic, and
Hey, reload. He said looks and feels natural. Take it away.
exciting universe for you to explore and experience. I hope that this presentation has given you a good sense of what we've been doing over the past year and what those efforts will mean for the game in the coming one. Until next time.
All right. So, damn. Every time I watch it, I feel I've absorbed something a bit different.
Enemies remaining.
But I'm still, so much of it is just way over my head. I don't pretend to understand exactly, but it does give us a very clear picture of the complexity of what they're trying to do, right? And it is impressively complex. The hamsters are running. Joe says, I predict CIG will provide... I lost your scroll. Many more than 100 systems because the potential player population exceeds their original expectations? I don't know about that, Joe. I think 100 systems will hold a lot of people. Can they expand? They sure can. I mean, should they need to expand, they can always do what Eve did and here's some wormholes and wormhole space or, multiverse type thing, just off the top of my head. But I don't know if they need to make more systems. I think 100 systems for, even if the player base doubles from this point, they'll just make other hubs, because players will tend to gather around hubs. And if there's too many people at one area, they don't have to create more systems, just create secondary hubs. I mean, the equivalent would be Jita in Eve, right? If everyone's congregating there, can you make it a hub similar to it, just to encourage people to go to different places to ease up the servers? Will 100 systems or 30 million population? Well, from what we've seen from their server meshing and what they have going, they just got to spin up more servers and you can hold as many as you want, apparently. I guess the limit is how many servers do you want running, right? 20 systems will keep 30 million busy. Yeah, I think so. I mean, space is big. Those of you who got to play Pyro, I believe Pyro is pretty massive from one end to the other end. So not everyone's going to be congregating on one moon on one system. You're spreading out, right? And space is massive. Don't forget the space between planets and moons and asteroids. There's a massive amount of empty space there, which can hold, again, when I see it, I'll believe it, right? Server cloud tech's also getting better every day. Absolutely, Jake. Never mind CPUs and RAM, but the costs have declined. So CIG, by delaying what they have, there's no way in hell that they'd be able to afford the server costs for the game they're planning like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, this would have been astronomical. I don't know exactly what costs are right now, but I can imagine that your average server with the CPU, GPU setup now is a lot better. Yeah. And it's all one verse. Yep. How many servers can be meshed? We covered this yesterday, and essentially servers get spun up as needed. So if there's one person in the server, and if it takes one server to render one person, for example, and a second person comes in the same square where he's standing, and another server spins up, and a third person comes, and these are these virtual servers they're spinning up? I guess it helps that this is backed by Amazon. But obviously there is a limit. There is a hardware limit to what they can do. I won't pretend to have the perfect answer for that. Where do I get that glorious hat that I am wearing? We're sold out right now. Merch store has them. If you do wish to have... Actually, the merch store's carrying this one. With a smaller logo on it. You know, for when you want to go shopping, but you want to be kind of low-key. You don't want to stick in everyone's face, you know? Skullface says, cheers, brother. Glad Montoya is still doing his thing with Star Citizen. Yeah, Skullface, I've tried to escape it, man. You know, I played Starfield for a while. No, that's it. I've had enough of Star Citizen, Starfield, but then it always sucks you back in. And that is the truth, though. As much as people try escape from Star Citizen, you always end up back. When Starfield came out, I was so excited. But then you stop playing Starfield and you realize how great Star Citizen is. Merch, with bugs and all. I'm just reading chat and I was distracted. Thanks, Athy. People take breaks. I think Captain Richard is taking a break right now from Star Citizen. But he'll be back. They always come back. Always come back. Thanks for the follow, Cassius. Fett. Cousin of Boba Fett. We know. It's true. You can't escape it. Starfield got boring. Right. I want to come back to Starfield when the DLC comes out. But I kind of left at NG+4. I said, I'll get back to it. Fig Newton saying his entire org. Oh yeah, Fig, what happened to your org? And it's so tough. I mean, I understand. I mean, even in test, there are quiet times. There's times where there's, I'm going to say there's 10 people on, but I mean, there are times where it's quiet, and I cannot imagine smaller orgs, the suffering they've gone through with these delays. Chris Ayo, welcome, super subscriber on YouTube. Quiet. Yeah. No, look, we're very fortunate in test that we have a quite rambunctious and active community going there that's always kept the wheels turning. And it doesn't matter how bad the patches are or how many 30Ks, there's always going to be people in there. And I'm forever grateful to everyone that has allowed that to happen in the test community. But at the same time, you know, like we see what Fig is saying there, the smaller orgs have suffered greatly. There are so many orgs which popped up years ago, which have just disappeared, just off the map. There was an org built for the Reddit community called Red. Oh, god damn, I forgot. So many have come and gone over the years. But so many new ones have popped up too. Look at whatever that is. Safe Harbor. Explore. God damn, Explore. A zombie org. And you know what? Explore did so many things right when they kicked off. Their branding and marketing was top notch. And I don't remember what happened to the guy that was running it. Is anyone here in Explore? I need to refresh my memory on what happened. Let me just refresh. Tigger, yeah. Is he even around still? Early founder. And I don't recall exactly what happened, but he just up and disappeared one day. And the entire org was just faded away. Which is sad because they had a strong start. Really strong start. I was so partially influenced by their amazing branding for test. But the other org which greatly influenced me is Imperium. At the time when I joined, Imperium had 3,000 members. And Imperium is top notch. Like, they have logos for all their divisions. They've got their forums. And I was like, god damn, like this is what I consider a guild. So impressive. And also I believe they were at CitizenCon, right? From where can we get notifications for the events in org? James, in Discord, on the top left, there's a thing that says events. You click that and it'll give you the schedule for it. Pipe is saying his initial org dissolved, but they found out that, yeah, well, that's the thing I'm looking at now. I'm scrolling down the list of orgs, which I haven't checked in a while, but they all kind of, so many have just disappeared over the while. Yeah. First time chatter Madman, hello. Someone was timed out there. Give the bot a second if you are new. It may be pretty strict. But Imperium, awesome, very early org to Star Citizen, and I believe they had a booth. Nothing but praise for, oh, here it is, like this kind of, yeah, so see this animation, this graphic they have here? I was like, god damn, that's awesome. I need something like that for test. And so you see, like, it lists in the most organized group. They've got charts, they've got fancy circles and lines, and they're military focused. And do you need a helping hand? You can help us. Star Citizen Base was a radio station. I was like, god damn, like, that's awesome. I should really do something like that too. So they influenced me to put ours together, which I haven't checked. I know Athy said I've got to change some stuff in it because it's outdated. Sorry, Athy, I haven't gotten around to it, but yeah. God damn, I haven't seen this in so long. Holy shit, this Rob Irving isn't even with the... Jesus, Eric and Rob left the company like 8 years ago. Alexandra asking how the legs are good. So these two guys were very, very early, the founding staff. Eric Peterson was the early Disco Lando. And he peeled off to start their own. There's so much to talk. Wow. This is a topic on its own. Eric Peterson peeled off with Rob Irving to start their own crowdfunded game. They wanted to make their version of Descent. You old guys, I think you hear your ears perking up. Yes, Descent. Remember the 3D game? Descent. They failed with the Descent. Peterson. Yeah, right, Phobos. So the idea was good. They were banking on the nostalgia factor of it, but they ran into some issues. There were some legal issues they slammed into. And I don't blame them for trying. You know, they sat with CIG and they go, well, CIG is pulling in millions. Can we also make a game and do that? And best efforts, you know, it just didn't work out for them, which is too bad because they're both very talented individuals. Early Sandy saying test members smell. Yogi wants an update in the legs too. Yeah. We are an elite, highly organized group of mature players. Some would say we're not elite, nor organized, or mature. They may be right. God damn. You know, I think it took me about 3 weeks to finalize this. It took me so long to make. Because I said, I want to make this once and never touch it again. And I made it once. And I never touched it again. Oh yeah, so this is what Athy wanted me to remove. The drunk guy thing, right? Yeah. See, we used to drink a lot, and then we got old and started getting liver damage. I know Seth, if you're still watching the stream, he's like, yep. He's like rubbing his tummy going, my liver hates me now. Friday night drunk squad. It's funny because we probably had those in the beginning, but now it's like SC and drinks and everyone's just drinking, you know, fruit cocktails and protein shakes and healthy things now. We've shifted because we want to live long enough to see the game, and we realized that by drinking every Friday night, we will never live to see the release of this game. That's what happened. SC and drinks every Wednesday. I know, and everyone says, yeah, I'm drinking a beer. Like, yeah, I'm having a scotch. But in truth, everyone's just drinking water. That's the truth of it. Yeah. So, yeah, that was, that little piece there was influenced by Imperium. So thank you, Imperium. Pitchfork. Oh, my God. Is Pitchfork around? I had issues with Pitchfork. The whole idea with Pitchfork was that before the official game comes out, when the game is initially released, there's going to be a wipe. And Pitchfork says, we are all going to have this massive operation where we're going to attack Vandal's space and, just a free-for-all. And then the game get wiped and then it's all over. And CIG was kind of behind this. CIG was like, yeah, that's a wonderful idea, but will we have a wipe at this point? The entire premise behind what Pitchfork wanted to do is not really going to be happening now. But the issue I had originally, not with I love the idea, it's cool, and I love their logo, but the problem I had was that CIG was kind of behind this, kind of promoting it, but then not paying attention to any other orgs. And, we're fine, we're a large org, but there's so many other small orgs which need attention from CIG. Like Medrun is a recent example of, I think, a great idea, that got attention, but there's 1,000 other small orgs like Medrunners that have gone under the radar completely. And CIG was giving Pitchfork, a lot more recognition because they weren't really an organization, they're more of an event. But as we've progressed, I don't think this event isn't happening. Is it? Is anyone here in Pitchfork? I'm curious to know if they're still an active org. It's been a long time. Das Cartel, Vigetz, long-standing German org. Serenity. I don't remember what these guys were about, but I'm curious to know if they're still around. If you guys are part in the LTT, this is Linus. I would have thought Linus, an official Linus Tech Tips org, would have been massive. When I started test, I thought, wow, we will never be as big as LTT. Like Linus's org is going to have 50,000 people, but surprisingly, it's not. What happened with this? You thought Pitchfork's target completely crashing CIG servers. Yeah, so it's not the idea behind Pitchfork was that there'll be a giant rush into Vandal space and fighting everyone before the big wipe. But as we progress now, it doesn't look like there'll be a big wipe where everything gets wiped clean. Like, we may wipe your ships you've got in the game. We may wipe your credits. We may wipe rep. But as we get closer and closer, there's less of the big wipes, right? Linus is a big noob. Yeah. Well, he's got a massive community. I would have thought his org would have been in the tens of thousands at this point. Earth Mining, Linux Users Group? Really? Never heard of them, but damn, almost 3,000 members. Turbo, the Russian org, great bunch of guys. We've done PvP with them. Obviously, very unfortunate, the political situation, but these guys aren't there for the politics. Just want a game. And definitely a good bunch. Medrunners. Oh, god damn, I never knew they had 2,000 members. Good for them. For some reason, I thought they were in the hundreds. Broforce, I believe he's a streamer. Armitage Free Company, old org from the early days. Sanctuary of Wanderhome, this was also a streamer back in the day. Who was it? Members. Let me just refresh my memory. I haven't looked at this page in years. I don't know who that is. I guess it's changed ownership maybe. I thought this is an org belonged to a streamer. I could be wrong. Cognition, again, very early days. Gladiators, very early org. Evocati NDA, those guys suck. There's still a lot of Evocati in there. Well, obviously. Not an org, that is the actual Evocati. They have their own little group in there. Hey, I just got in, Montoya. Yeah, I didn't get the wig. Thanks for reminding me. Sometimes in the big wipe, yeah. Alianza Astrale is the Italians. España, obviously the Spanish. Synchronizers, been around forever. 2,000 plus, growing nicely over there. Another Russian group. Starhead Federation, I don't know. Knebel Army, is that a streamer? That sounds like a streamer, right? Knebel? I think I saw him streaming Star Citizen recently. What's up, Pappy? Order of the Dragon, old original org from the early days. Taboo, from the early days too. Planet Express crew, yeah, classic. Hyperion, I think reasonably new. Market Hub, not so much of an org, but more of a club that wanted to organize market information, which is going to be redundant once they come out with all the Quanta stuff we just saw. Skunks, we know well. $1,600, not bad. 1,600 members. Zilla, what is up with Rex Zilla? I know he got a contract with Facebook streaming, Facebook gaming, and I don't think he plays Star Citizen much, but when he does return, definitely going to be much higher numbers than that. Lamp. Who remembers Lamp? These guys were classic, all right? So there was a live stream very, very early on. There was a live stream with Chris Roberts and the crew. And they went off to get lunch. And while they went off to get lunch, they left the camera pointing at a lamp on the desk. And everyone's like, praise the great lamp, oh, holy lamp, and started an org as a joke. And it actually became a thing. So the logo is actually the lamp from the desk. Pretty funny at the time. I don't know if that's still funny now. Needs to be explained what the hell it is. Pack. Southern Cross Alliance. Southern Cross Alliance. I was going to swear. I was going to swear the C word in Australian because that's what they call each other. It's not meant as an insult, but a bunch of C words in the Southern Cross Alliance. Good bunch of guys. I don't know how active they are, but if you are Australian, definitely go check out SCA. Oh, is there a Chinese language org? Is this the first? This is the first Chinese language org I've seen. Yan Huang? Huh. I had no idea. I'm assuming Hong Kong. Is Star Citizen playable in the mainland China? Is there any kind of firewall or problem? I don't know if anyone here is Chinese, but I assume they can play it. I'm not. And if Star Citizen does release, they will cater to the Chinese market for sure. It's working in Japan and Hong Kong. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Hong Kong based here. They use VPNs, right? But it's possible that there will be a Chinese version for it, right? I mean, I don't think they have to make any changes to the game itself, but they have to water it down in any sense. CIG estimates of max plays per system was 20k. Okay, that's not really, yeah. But yeah, I had no idea we had a Chinese org in here already. Interesting. But there's going to be a ton of players from China for sure. Oh yeah, they had Shanghai Boston. You're correct. Yes, thank you, Chamat. That's right. 81,000 orgs in total. Right. So, but keep in mind, look where we are. Just scrolling down like a page or two, we're already in the thousands. There are. I don't have the stats in front of me, but there's probably 80,000 orgs with one person in them. The Asian player base is growing fast. Yeah, definitely. I can see. Well, we saw the Shanghai Boss Citizen, the turnout there, right? That is only going to grow. Overdrive. Is this is Saurus, right? Let's check. No. Oh, am I wrong? Wasn't this? Didn't this belong to Saurus? I could be wrong. Huh. Is old age hitting me? Stonecutter's org. Okay, no, we gotta go see it. You better have some good graphics and logos there. Montoya critiques orgs. Let's go. Stonecutters. This you? 2 members? All right. I like the logo. Oh, yes. 10 out of 10. The Stonecutters episode was classic. I like your logo. Kind of got a little Roman wreath there, but also the hammers in the kind of a joint thing. Very nice. 2 members. I like it. 10 out of 10 for creativity. Beautiful. Yeah. It was his org. So Saurus handed his org. Is Saurus playing this game at all? Or is someone just holding on to it? He burnt out. Yeah, I don't blame him. I don't know. Like even I was going to say I don't know how Captain Richard does it, but Captain Richard himself, I noticed the last couple of days when I've been checking him out, he's not actually playing Star Citizen. But a lot of you here are probably also close to burnout. Well, not now because we just had a big new reveal, but I always tell people, take a break, man. Like don't stay here forever. You'll go insane. Look at the most active orgs. So here's a little secret as far as org activity goes. The big factor in getting yourself listed up here is the amount of people you accept to your org at one time. So if right now there were 10, well, yeah, the other day there were 40, actually on the weekend, there were 40 new members in test. I didn't check for like a day or two and there were 40 members. So I clicked accept, and test pops up as the most active org. This took many hours of trying to understand why. Because the early battle we had as an org was that Explore was always the most active. And Explore was getting all these members because they were the most active org. And like, well, damn, how can we be the most active org also? And so we tried everything. We got everyone in chat and said, okay, everyone log into the game. And everyone in the game then see if that counts as activity. And it didn't do anything. So we said, okay, everyone in game, like jump up and down. And maybe it counts keystrokes of activity. Didn't do anything. So we said, all right, everyone get into ships and just shoot things and shoot each other. It didn't count as activity. And the only thing we found which counted as making your org the most active was how many members had joined over a certain very short time frame. So when you see Black Star Initiative or you see Star Wave CN, oh, that's a Chinese org. With 16 members, all right? Now, it's not that they're the most active org in all of Star Citizen with 16 members. It's just that they possibly had 2 or 3 members join this last hour. But 2 or 3 members out of 14 members makes the algorithm go, oh, this org is very active because 50% new people joined this org. And that's how it counts. So don't go looking at org activity as mean, wow, these orgs are active in the game. It has nothing to do with the game itself. It has to do with how many people joined and how many people are in the org right now. My org is Black Widow Company. Oh, Pappy, really? What's up with Black Widow? Very ancient org who got their start in, I want to say, Planetside. Where did Black Widow begin? Black Widow Company. BWC. This one? For some reason, I thought you guys were way bigger than that. Is this the right one, Pappy? If this is the Black Widow I'm thinking of, they are an ancient org. Here we go. Black Widow established 2002, before some of you were born. Active duty veterans and civilians are welcome. Yeah, so I don't recall exactly where I first came across Black Widow, but these guys are legit. They are awesome. For some reason, I thought you guys were way bigger than that because you just feel like you have a lot more presence. Planetside, right. But you guys were massive in Planetside. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, awesome org. And the few interactions I've had have always been very positive with Black Widow. Is there an org named after Argonauts? Yeah, there's about 50 orgs with the name Argonauts in it. Definitely. Well, that's a bit of a tangent. Well, there you go. I hope you all learned something new. I learned that there's actually Chinese orgs in the game right now, which is awesome. And got to catch up on some of the older orgs too. I think it's to do with the number of active players in the game relative. No. I'm all right. We tested this for hours and hours and weeks, trying to figure out what makes Explore at the time, which was the #1 active org for weeks on end. And the only thing we found which worked was how many members you are accepting into your org at this point in time. Obviously, if you have, we just saw it with these guys. All right? They are most active org, but 16 members. You can't tell me that if there's 16 members in the game right now, they're the most active. What happened was two or three members just joined, and the algorithm favors that as a sign of the most activity. That's nothing to do with the activity in the game itself. How many spaceships do you buy? Oh, Jake, thanks for reminding me. I am going to change my... Which ship was I going to CCU? I was going to apply a CCU onto one of the fighters I don't use into the Zeus. And every ship is the Zeus, as we know. Kalzi, Habibi, Mamatsav. How things looking in Brooklyn, my man? All right. If all 16 are playing all the time, we tested it too. I'm all right. We tested. Okay, look, maybe the algorithm of how they decided has changed. But back when we had 300, 400, 500 members in test, we tried everything. We tried everyone log in, everyone log out, everyone go in game, everyone chat in game, everyone jump up and down in game. We tried all that. The one factor which affected the most was how many people joined your org over the last 10 minutes relative to how big your org already is. That's it, man. Unless they've made changes over the past year. But yeah, I'm going to close on that Zeus. I mean, you gave me $5 yesterday, Jake. I'm going to put that towards the Zeus. Fire Frost, thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. Need More Delta, thanks for the follow. Yeah, I'm going for the Bounty Hunter Zeus. I'm trying to consolidate my fleet. I think some of you guys have been here for a while have the same problem. We just have tons of ships we don't use. I have 4 or 5 ships I use, but I always want to keep. Oh, it's the Talon. I'm going to CCU my Talon into the Zeus. Because I love the Talon, But if you had to ask me when's the last time I actually flew my Talon, I couldn't tell you when. I couldn't tell you. Talon. I love the way it looks. But I just don't fly it. Anyone else have that problem? So, yeah. I'm CCUing the Talon, which... Oh, and the F8 is out. Okay, here's my reasoning. This is going to make sense. I've got the F8 and the F8 Executive. So, do I need another fighter? Do I need a light fighter? Absolutely not. The Talon is being CCU'd into the Bounty Hunter Zeus. But I really like the Explorer. I don't know. You know, I try not to spend money where I don't have to. So I'm trying to CCU ships into different things. But holy shit, this speaks to me. I don't even know what exploration is supposed to be like. I just love the way that looks. The white one. Exploration. Do I need it? No. Might I need it? Very possible. It's a general purpose. Right. So how many general purpose ships do you guys have? I've got the 400, which is my daily. I've got the 600i, which I don't know why the hell I have it, but I don't want to get rid of it. Right? There's a Freelancer. Now there's the Zeus. I want to consolidate that down. That's why I have my secondary account, which I use just for testing patches and stuff outside my main account. And I kind of just want to force one ship onto that account and go, here's the one ship I'll be using. And I'm kind of saying, I think I want that Zeus. I think I want the white one. Or maybe the Bounty Hunter one to be the single ship on that account. And you're forced to use that for everything. I kind of like that kind of forced gameplay. $600 is a classic ship for a show garage. Yeah. Especially all you big spenders, your black and gold 600i. Just the hangar queen, right? Is that the Galaxy? No. Oh, god damn it, Slicer. I keep falling for it too. I won't buy anything except freelancers and cutlasses. Ronald is right? So, I like the way you think, Ronald. And this is how it's supposed to work. There's so many ships which overlap and do other things. End of the day, fly the ship you like. Fly what looks best to you, right? And if you like the way freelancers look, then keep on flying them. If you like the way the cut... Right, so Adrian, my Cutlass Black was... My Cutlass Black. My Cutlass Black is turned into the Spirit. But then the Spirit, I thought, is the same size as the Zeus. Why don't I just upgrade my Spirit to a Zeus? What's up, Cromwell? Yeah, the Spirit's awesome. But now I'm looking at the Zeus going, well, it's like that meme, the guy looking at with his girlfriend meme. I think someone put that on Reddit even. The Spirit has VTOL, the Zeus doesn't. Okay, so how important and will that be? Matoya said, I need the ES. Yeah, Space Games, I'll get your wife on here. Just tell your wife to come watch. Hey, Miss Space Games. Mr. Space Games is buying the ES for the org. That's the secret source you got to toss in there. Is there a cargo variant of the Spirit? Yeah, the plain C1 Spirit. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is the cargo version, yeah. Her name is Juana or Jana, how do you pronounce it? I'll speak to her if you want. I mean, I'm here to help you out, man. Like, if you need that ship, I understand your desperation. I kind of wish I had no ships and then just buy these three. Here's my bounty hunting ship. Here's my exploration ship. Here's my transport ship. And that's it. I'd be happy. If I was a new backer of this game today, I I would just buy these 3 ships and I'd be pretty satisfied. I think these 3 will carry, well, obviously you can always upgrade, but I think these 3 of them would be the 3 ships I'd be happy with till the game comes out and just earn the stuff in the game. Oh, do you guys want to see the rest of this? Because there's some pretty impressive stuff. All the new RSI ships have been fire. Yeah, absolutely. Buy all 3. So, Steve, but here's the problem I have, Steve, and it's the problem that all of you sickos in here have, is that we have all the ships which do all these things. Well, not the Bounty Hunter. This is the thing. The Hawk is the cool little bounty hunting ship I like. But this does it better, right? EMP, is it the Snare? Plus 4 pods for prisoners, I think. Exploration, the 400i, the 600i. Cargo, come on, like you guys have the hull E, the hull D. You have a big D, right? Hull D. So you don't really need that. But if you're just coming into the game and like you want to spend, what was it, $400? What was the damage on that? The 3-pack. $425. It's a lot of money. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd spend $425 on these 3 ships. It's a lot. Yeah. If you had the money. Yeah, but they're not even best in class, except the Bounty Hunter. But if you had $400 to blow, like, yeah, I think it's all right. Exactly. I'm always looking for the daily driver. That's why I think on my one account that the Bounty Hunter one is my daily driver for that. But then there's the exploration one. Like, that's the thing we don't know. Like, if the game was out now and I knew exploration was cool and something I wanted to do, and this is a ship which does it well, then I'd say absolutely. But we just don't know what exploration is going to be about and why this ship in particular will be good at it. I have no idea. $425 is not expensive, Aaron. Big spender. It's funny that Star Citizen backers, we've all fallen into that disease that makes us go, oh, that's not bad. Because when this came out, right, I was like, God damn, 170, that's good. Can you see someone playing any other game and looking at something for 170 in the game and going, that's a good price? I don't know. I've never seen it. I think it's a special thing for Star Citizen backers. We're all sick. There were 4 versions, yeah. The final version of it, I'm pretty sure, is going to be released at the IAE, and it's going to be something has to do with speed. It has a spoiler on it, and there are only 6 spoilers on ships which are supposed to go fast. So stealth or something speed related, not racing. These are not racing ships. Asmon Goldwood. Yeah, Artisius, the Asmon. So as much as Asmon probably is against microtransactions and shit, I don't see him having an issue dropping 10 grand in Star Citizen. Will he? I'd be curious. I'd be very curious to know if he does. Because there's no way in hell he's buying an Aurora and then just flying an Aurora as he starts the game. But then again, so many people will give him money in game. Like, all he has to do is log in and he'll have 100 million in a second, right? He might not need to buy anything in the game even. But he may. That'll be interesting. He's not against microtransactions. Oh, yeah. So look, if he has the money to spend, he will come in and go, I need a Javelin for me and my stream. We're buying a Javelin. Like, he'll do it. But then again, there's probably someone in his stream that has a Javelin already. We'll see. I think Dr. Disrespect will happily drop 10 Gs. Just as a flex. Right? Oh, Twitter. You guys want to go over Twitter? What's the time? 11:52. All right, let's go for another 15 minutes. Then I'm going to break for lunch. I wanted to stream in the afternoon yesterday, but I got held up. If I do go on this afternoon, it's going to be around 4 p.m. West Coast. So watch out for it. But yeah, let's catch up with the news. What's happening? Salty Mike saying Just America things. Oh goddamn, the shooting. Is there an update? Did I catch the guy? Was it Louisville? Lewiston. What's the news? Is he found? 4 hours ago. Did I catch the guy in the shooter yet? God damn. No, I don't see any news yet. So terrible. Yeah, right. What's happening? Griff was live an hour ago. Any guesses what ship this is? Chat. We know what ship that is, right? The Spirit? The Zeus. This is the Zeus? So, my guess, I think we all agreed this was the Spirit, but why would they block it out? Because we have the Spirit already. Or is there something smaller than the Spirit? Let's see what Twitter has to say about it. Oh, it is a Spirit. Oh, Zeus. Definitely not the Zeus. Right. That is the Zeus. Oh, but wait, if it's a Spirit, why are they blocking it? It's too small for the Spirit? Another variant. Oh. You're right, Jake. This is the variant we haven't seen. Or starter ship, says Papa Malo. Small Nautilus, mini Nautilus. Because, I mean, these wings here are Spirit. But look at the man compared to the cockpit. Like, you have to bend down to get in there. It looks kind of tight. It looks pretty big for a starter ship, though. And it's got VTOL. It's the F8. No. That's stupid. Shout out to those of you who met me. Hello. Yeah. Next year. Well, it wasn't mentioned directly in the panel. The character customers will have a save export. Yeah, we cover that in our stream. So I'm all for that. I'm the kind of person that takes 3 hours to create the character. In fact, the first boss battle for me in any MMO is the character creation screen. It's not the Polaris. It's D Lefty. Yeah, it's no longer O Lefty. It's D Lefty now. Not sure if Montoya saw the red link. It shows it's more likely RSI and is 300 sized. No, Artesius, I did not see that. So it is not the Spirit. Looks Spirit sized. But again, if that's the man, the cockpit is smaller. Curious, very curious. And it looks like it has the bay doors at the bottom, which kind of go up. I guess we'll see very soon. Gabs. Always with the thirst traps. Gabs, what's up with that? You know what we want to see? Gabs, what we want to see is you flying and shooting things, all right? Nobody wants this. Well, I know you guys do, but I'm married, so I cannot. In fact, when my wife walks by, I scroll away like, nah, I'm just looking at gaming stuff, not looking at anything else for sure. But yeah, she was at CitizenCon, had a great time, good to see. Subliminal giving away and Aries, really? I know, it's risky scrolling down this, right? Oh, I wanted to get through it. Do you guys want to finish this? If you're just dropping in, we were looking at the state of AI in Star Citizen. And I was saying that if Chris Roberts has seen this video, it's basically ChatGPT plugged into NPCs in Skyrim. This is going to add 2 years more development on the game. August, what's up? Good morning. We were just talking about the Australian org, SCA. But August, another test member, didn't make it to CitizenCon, but next year for sure, we'll drag him there. Meanwhile, Tony Z experience was forgotten. Yeah, that's how we redid it. But this is damn impressive, all right? And if you haven't seen it, I'm going to play more of it now. Basically, they're plugging in AI from ChatGPT directly into Skyrim, and the results are impressive.
And we can also change the style and personality of her voice, which I might do later on in the video, or in a future episode, so subscribe for that. But for now, we're going to go on an adventure
Good night, Artesius.
with
Thanks for dropping in.
Erica, do you have any money for a horse from Whiterun Stables here?
Oh, Moist Boy, I didn't realize you were in such dire need of a horse. Have you considered just walking? It's good exercise, you know.
Damn, she's calling me.
Dude, my wife is Asian, all right? You should be afraid. Oh, Ender got married. Speaking of Asian wives. I don't know if I should warn Ender about this, all right? Asian girls look sweet and innocent and fragile, but you get married? Boy, are they vicious. Does he know what he got into? Someone clip this and send to him, all right? This is not sweet and kind. This is a chihuahua, a vicious one, all right? August is like, yep. So don't be fooled, white guys. It's a trap, okay? This looks awesome, all right? But trust me, they are dragons. Dragons! White guys with Asian wives in chat, 07, they know.
Fat? Erica, there's a horse right here. Is this your horse?
Oh, Moist Boy, you're quite the detective, aren't you? No, that horse isn't mine. I
All
usually...
right, back to serious stuff. The fact that the AI is able to... I don't know how this is done. The fact that she knows ownership status on the horse, that it's not his, I guess it's plugged into the game and it's referencing that. I changed the topic very quickly there because I think my wife can hear me. An 07 from Steve. Yep, you know it. James too? Chelsea? Really? Ownership tag. All right. So the AI is smart enough to reference the ownership in the game and say, yeah, it's not your horse. 6'4", yeah.
prefer unicorns over regular horses.
Where can you get unicorns in Skyrim?
Unicorns in Skyrim? You must be thinking of some mod, because unicorns don't really roam
Okay, this is
the lands of
what
Tamriel.
what's his name was saying. Sorry, I forgot who mentioned. They said that it breaks immersion, but this AI specifically wasn't given parameters not to do that. I'm guessing. All right. So when he's talking about are there unicorns in Skyrim, the AI is correctly saying it's not, and it's a mod. How crazy is that?
But who knows?
She just broke the fourth wall by referencing mods, which isn't ideal, but it's actually kind of very creative and funny. Herika, since we both don't have a horse, I think we should just steal this one.
Oh, Moist Boy, you always know how to solve a problem with a little bit of mischief, don't you? But stealing a horse might not be the best idea.
Well, I guess we're going to go on foot from
Amazing.
here, boys. It's going to be a long adventure. Hey, Herika, there's some wolves ahead of us on the road. Do you think you can take them out for us?
Oh, absolutely, Moist Boy. I'll just take out those wolves with my incredible archery skills while you sit back and watch.
Oh, I
Maybe
like
I'll
it.
even do it blindfolded.
Damn!
So what's fascinating to me there is the bow and arrow is the primary weapon, right? And the AI says that. That's amazing. I mean, if you took away the bow and arrow and gave her a sword, would the AI then say, hey, you know, I'm going to chop them down with my sword? I think it would. Crazy, right?
Okay. Big flex. There's some wolves just here. Hey, Erica, we're near the wolves. Go ahead and kill them. They're right in front of us. Attack, Erica, attack!
All right. No need to shout. I'm on it, Moist Boy. Let's show those wolves what we're made of.
Look out, Erica. I'm being attacked. Oh, a nice shot.
Well, that was easy enough. These wolves really need to up their game if they want to challenge us. Maybe they should consider taking archery lessons or something. Oh, thank you, Moist Boy. Guess they couldn't resist the charm of Moist Boy and Harika. I suppose my talent with a bow is just natural. It's not like I spend countless hours...
Like, what is this? It's flattery? I mean, is this a parameter set in there that you have to compliment the player? Because that's pretty impressive, right? There's no emotion. Griff being critical of Skyrim NPCs. Come on, Griff. How was your stream, by the way? Did you stream today? Slicer, I want to do another playthrough. Yeah, you know what, Slicer? If this becomes it's a very complicated mod to install. Like you have to subscribe to several services and you have to do a whole bunch of jumping through hoops to get it to work. But if it does get to the point where it's easy to install, I'm doing a playthrough, another Stealth Archer playthrough for the 7th time.
Practicing or anything.
Dude, this is insane. This completely changes the game from like a role-playing... Who's this? What are we gonna do?
Oh, look what we have here. A couple of bandits with refined taste in substance abuse and a distaste for the sting of bees. How original.
How she know they got a substance abuse problem? I mean, is that something? I mean, they're probably carrying skooma or something on them, right?
I reckon, look out, we're outnumbered.
Moist boy, bored. Please, I was just getting bored. Let's show them what we're made of.
Erica, they're too strong. Erica, I can see some people on the road ahead. Can you make out who they are?
Oh, look at that. Some travelers on the road, huh? Let me take a closer look.
The master has gone, but Dervenin will find him. Dervenin should not have gone. What do you think you're doing?
Erica, can you finish her off, please?
Oh, sure, Moist Boy. I'll just whip out my magic wand and poof, problem solved. Because that's exactly how it works in Skyrim, right? Besides, well, Moist Boy, looks like the madwoman has met her match. I must say, swinging a sword...
She's correctly referencing the name of the NPC. I don't even want to pretend to understand how they're accessing all of that and making it say it. Now, I mentioned in the beginning that there is editing, right? It's not as quick as you're seeing. From the point where he says something to the time where she responds is a couple of seconds. So there is some editing in there.
And sending her flying was quite satisfying. She sure...
I'll pass, it's annoying. Ronald, keep in mind, this is proof of concept. Setting parameters like rudeness, kindness, how you want them to respond, that'll all be set. But this is essentially saying we'll take ChatGPT and stick it in the game to prove it can be done.
Knew how to put up a fight.
Hey, Erica, watch me take out this wolf. God damn. Deletes it.
Well, Moist Boy, looks like you've got quite the swing. That wolf didn't stand a chance against your mighty war axe.
Oh,
Remind me
know?
to stay on your good side in a brawl, huh?
I like that she knows what weapon he used, and she's saying, damn, like that's you good with that axe, or making those comments. I find that a awesome feature in the game. It's like when you in Starfield, you're walking through a Keeler city and you have a sniper rifle, like they'll make a comment about it, right? That's in the game, but it's the combat log. Oh yeah. Right, makes sense, okay.
Oh, Moist Boy, I'm on the edge of my seat. Don't keep me waiting for this epic battle with a lowly wolf.
And the irony, the sick and disgusting thing is, we know very well what's going to push this mod forward, right? It's going to be the X-rated stuff. If not already. We know it's there.
Okay, that was almost there. She knew that I had a war axe, which is really interesting. Oh, there's another wolf. Oh, get wrecked, son. I'm just flexing on these
another
wolves.
wolf. I hope it's not the cousin of the one you fought earlier. They might have formed a wolf pack to seek revenge. Don't underestimate my skills. I've tamed wild horkers with a single look. A wolf pack is like a bunch of puppies to me.
That commentary's on the fly. I hope it's not the cousin of the one you killed, right? I think that's cool. That's awesome. Just like that ad lib.
So, Moist Boy, what brings us to this lovely place of doom and destruction? Feeling the need to make some potentially life-altering decisions, are we?
Well, I've heard tell that there's
good
a
segment in
necromancer
here?
here that
I
we
mean, I
can
think we
take
get
out,
a general
and then we
idea
can
of where
gain
it's
the
going.
powers of the ritual stone. From the dead!
Well, that certainly sounds like a fiasco waiting to happen. Bringing the necromancer back.
Yeah, let's watch this.
If you're using your voice or not. At this point, we can already sustain a full-on conversation, but I feel like if it gets any better, then it's going to be so fluid you won't even notice the pause. Let's see how well we can deal with these bandits.
Hold it. This here's a toll road, see?
200 gold. How about you let me through and I don't kill you?
Ha! Tough talk for someone who's about to have their guts spilled.
Erica, we're under attack! Oh my god! The necromancer absolutely
Oh
deleted
no,
her.
Moist Boy, I couldn't tell that we're under attack. Thank you for stating the obvious. Maybe next
Sarcasm.
time you can point out the sky is blue too.
I feel personally attacked. Die!
Okay.
Oh
so
my god!
Here comes a good part.
Your ex-son!
So, I don't know if this is accidental or
Erica, take
coincidental.
out that archer in the distance. The bandit, quickly. Oh my god!
He's telling her to. Do you catch that? No, so I don't know if that is actually the AI taking commands from him to hit that target specifically, but he's able to vocalize and say that specific target hit that, and she does. That is impressive.
Take out that archer in the distance. The bandit, quickly. Oh my god, she's actually taking her out? That was
Really?
Erica! She
I mean, that could be coincidence, but that is awesome. If that is possible, say, hey, see, can you imagine that apply to Star Citizen with an AI wingman? Take out that target over there. Like, well, actually, no, that is really doable. What am I saying? But doing it over voice commands like that, with actually specifying by clicking on the target itself, amazing. Amazing.
deliberately focused on him. Oh my god, there's tons of wolves here. Erica, help me! I'm gonna die!
Right slicer, that can drop all the riders from CIG.
Uh-oh.
So now you're telling me what to do, huh? Don't worry, Moist Boy. I've got this. Watch and learn.
Oh my god.
What's this? The mighty Moist Boy in need of help. Well, aren't you just a ray of sunshine today? Fine. I'll save your sorry behind.
Thank you so much, Erica. You saved my life.
Just doing my heroic duty of saving clueless adventurers like yourself. But try not to get into trouble next time.
Erica, what do you think of the surroundings and the view around here?
Moist Boy, the view here is absolutely breathtaking.
If you find dirty, crumbling towers and bandits lurking around every corner, to be breathtaking, that is.
I'm looking for that meme when Chris Roberts walks into the office and he goes, "Who writes the law? You're fired." Anyone have that? Because it does. I mean, this stuff can put writers out of business for writing dialogue in a game. It just generates on the fly. You don't need 200,000 lines of dialogue like they have in Starfield, because your AI just generates the dialogue as you go.
Oh, I love her. She is fantastic. Erica, do you want your arrows back from this bandit? Or can I keep them?
Nah, Moist Boy, I'm all set. I prefer to let my arrows find new targets rather than retrieve the used one.
Erica, this cheese looks pretty moldy. Do you think we can eat this?
Oh, of course, Moist Boy. Eating moldy cheese is a must in the adventurous life, isn't it? Who needs fresh food when you can have a little bit of spore-induced excitement in your meal?
Great.
When I say this mod adds a new layer,
Yeah, definitely a threat to writers. I definitely see studios downsizing. Well, we already saw businesses fire people because, what company was it? Some rag magazine. Writers fired for AI, replaced with AI. Who was it? I can't find it, but there was some website, not Wired, but one of these sites which write news, that basically dumped 50 or 60 of their employees because you go to ChatGPT and you go, write me 10 lines and 5 paragraphs and some story, and bam, they got it. Steve saying, so my Galaxy went on buyback. Bought 2 LTI tokens, CC to a Zeus, a Mark ES. Yeah, Steve, I think that's a good move. And with that, celebrating Steve's purchase of the Zeus, I will go grab some lunch. But I will again endeavor to come back this afternoon because I do want to get an afternoon stream one of these days. But I am CCing a Talon into the MR, but I do really want the ES. I just can't justify it because I'm concerned it's going to be a hanger queen. It's going to sit there. The website produced brain. Yeah, exactly. Wild. It was. I forget the name. It's one of those nonsense sites that just creates garbage content as it is, but you don't need the writers to write the garbage content. Just go, ChatGPT, write me 5 lines on crazy things Kanye said today. Bam, there it is, and there's your headline. August saying you grabbed the MR. Yeah, same boat as you, August. The MR is the only mid-sized bounty hunter ship we have in the game at the moment. I think it is the best of the 3 in terms of its utility, because way too much stuff overlaps the others. But I just love the white one. I love the Zeus MK. We'll see. Well, all right, ladies and gents, my stomach is grumbling. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. It was a pleasure having you all. I hope we learned something about Quanta. Anthony, if you're still around, I hope you learned something. There'll be questions coming later. Frostfire, thanks for the follow. All the reload for the community sub. Jack Raven for the community sub. Madman for the sub. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Again, we'll try the afternoon. Can't guarantee it. Depends how my workload is going. There was a ton of information. Yeah, it was way too much. But I think we did good. Do you guys want to watch it again? Let's go. Tell us, Tony, what is happening next?
Was therefore designed.
He uses big words. It was good, right? And yes, I know I have to toss a raid. Let's go. Let's see. Twitch. Karai Oh. Looks like I'll be tossing you over to Irasiri129. She's a very talented streamer. I think you'll appreciate her talents. Let's see. Who is a small streamer we can toss this over to? Inforunners? Space Cutlet? Is Space Cutlet in Germany right now? Is he still in Germany? How's he doing? Anyone know? I haven't checked up on him in a while. HC Vertigo? He's been there forever. You know what? Yeah, let's toss to Vertigo. Unless if you guys see someone else with very, very low viewership. I don't recognize everyone else there though. James, thank you very much. You too, man. You keep it up. I don't know what are you keeping up? Yeah, let's toss over to Vertigo. He works hard, right? HC Vertigo. Let's go. Slash. Oh, I'm like a professional streamer here. Check me out, doing raids and shit. HC Vertigo. This was so nerve-wracking the first time. Like, am I writing it right? If I write it wrong, what happens? HC Vertigo, spelled correctly. Raid is being created. All right, ladies and gents, thanks for dropping by. I hope you enjoyed the stream. It was a pleasure having you all. Try this afternoon, can't guarantee it, but tomorrow morning for sure, yes. You guys in Discord, I'll drop in a second, say hello. And send you guys over in 3, 2, 1. Tell Mr. Vertigo Montoya sends his regards. And we're off. All right. YouTube, thank you. I'll see you guys a bit later.